Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Kart Chasers coverage of the 2023 Rotax Winter Trophy here in Loxahatchee, Florida, the Piquet Raceway and Entertainment Park. It is time for the finals, so this is now an exclusive broadcast. Welcome to the members of Kart Chaser, the premium members of Kart Chaser. 6 races to go here at Piquet Raceway Park. My name's Henry Baudet, and joining me will be Kart Chasers Xander Clements, as he's been all day. This is now the finals for the opening round of the 4-round Rotax US Winter Trophy. First class up will be the junior Rotax category. Hopefully all 12 drivers. We don't have a grid in front of us. Of course, the grid decided by the 2 heat races. We should work out how the from the timing system here, we can't get grids for the final, but we will be able to bring you what will be a very, very exciting race indeed. It's been a dominant performance so far in junior by Gennaro Trapper, the 14-year-old driver from Argentina. Gennaro on the front row of the grid. Now that looks like Nathan Dupuis second. So Nathan Dupuis, 10th in last year's junior Rotax Winter Trophy. It is the number 213 car, 11-year-old Nathan Dupuis from Ontario, Canada, in the Goodwood Kartways Esprit chassis. Row number 2, the bright blue kart of Victor de Alencar, the Orlando-based driver, the Nash Motorsport Tony Kart chassis. And then you have surprise package Josh Sankapasand on the Praga kart, his first major Rotax race for last year's Briggs & Stratton 206 guest class Rotax Trophy winner. He'll start on row number 2. How long can Josh stay at the sharp end? Because he's got an awful lot of talent lining up just behind him. So Sankapasand has got then, we've got the 209 kart of Salvador Della Vecchia, the reigning Minimax Rotax Winter Trophy champion on the San Antonio Racing Lando Norris kart. So hope we got plenty of viewers watching in Puerto La Cruz, Venezuela, because Salvador Della Vecchia is ready to go from row number 3. Also in the field, Javier Felipe Chaparro, Francisco Paredes, Frederic Lemieux, Oliver Marac, Eric Cuesta, and Chase Lee. 12 drivers, 19 laps. Have we got? I think we've got 11 drivers out there. So we're missing one driver. Lights are out. We're off and racing, and Sankapasand from the second row of the grid goes backwards in a hurry. I think that's probably a wise decision, believe it or not, from Josh Sankapasand, just to back out of things and now set off in what will be the longest and hardest race of his very short Rotax career so far. But up at the front, Xander Clements, Gennaro Trapper, in much the same way that Jorge Ortiz dominated last year's junior Rotax category. He is setting off, and he's got clean track in front of him, and significantly already half a lap into this 19-lap race, he has clear track behind him.
Quite a big gap there back to the Nash Motorsports EOS kart of Victor de Alencar, who got a good start there that time. He's safe in second. Battle back behind there, 4th and 5th, starting to shuffle a little bit there between a number of different cars to the field. Chase Lee in the middle of that mix as well, and we'll get full ID on the pack as they come by the start-finish line in the run order here. Lee, I believe, up into that 4th position as the Miami, Florida-based driver rounds in the mix of the group across the line. 1 down, 18 laps to go, and we're underway here with main events from Loxahatchee, Florida, side by side there in turn 1.
Oh, my word.
Oh, my goodness. It just got hairy there for Frederic Lemieux, I believe, along with Eric Cuesto.
That was... wow, that was on the absolute edge of adhesion. There is very little runoff there before you go into the barriers. And it was Frederic flirting with disaster, but continues on her way.
Actually, she may have been just a little bit further. My apologies to Lemieux there. I think it may have been all the way back to Javier Chaparro, who has already had one wild ride through the weekend here thus far in the very first ever session with a 360 spin and continuation on here as the field goes towards 17 and 18. So here's a look a little bit closer. I believe that's Federique Lemieux just ahead of a grouping, but I could be mistaken as they head around turns 18 and 19. Here they go. There's your top three, and it is Lemieux trailing Nathan Dupuy. Lemieux aboard that Lando Norris Kart as they cross the line to put 2 laps complete. Eric Questo right in the mix there as well, here with 2 laps down, 17 laps to go in this fight for 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the racetrack. Dupuy over Lemieux, and then Questo. Little gap back to Javier Chaparro, who made that move again in turn number 1 lap ago on Chase Lee. Lee hung on to it really nicely there in what could have been a very hairy situation back for 6th and 7th, but clean green up front for Gennaro Trappa. Joked with him, and his brother, who was hanging out at the top of the grid, said, well, all right, for this race, he's got to drive one-handed because they got to do something to give us a little more entertainment. Here's some, though, for 3rd. Dupuy under pressure from Lemieux. Lemieux is through. Federique Lemieux into the top 3 here with a good move in turn 15.
One driver that I was expecting a little bit more from is Salvador Della Vecchia, who is still mired back in 8th position. Francisco Paredes is in 9th place. Sanca Bassana slipped back to 10th position, and Tiziano Antola Nieto, the DM Kart competition winner, is there in 12th position. But game on for what is third place. Here comes a move. That's Cuesta up the inside, overcooks it into turn 2, and Nathan Dupuy repass. Oh, and behind him, who is that pulling off? Is that looks like Javier Felipe Chaparro, sorry. You can see the two. Oh, I think it is Chaparro out of the race. Salvador Della Vecchia has gone through, so it was Della Vecchia, it's not the race, so Chaparro out of the race. It looked like the kart just broke coming out of turn number 2. Further up, there is the battle on your screen, but Dupuy, Cuesta in that sort of like pink-purple livery kart. Then that's Della Vecchia, you can see with the lime green race gloves, grey race suit, white crash helmet. Della Vecchia challenging Cuesta for what is 5th position, makes the move. I'm not sure Cuesta was totally on board with that, but he made the move. Behind them, it is Chase Lee, Francisco Paredes, the driver from Quito. There is Quito, Ecuador, in the yellow sleeve, the yellow race suit, and now he makes a look on the Anglo-American driver, Chase Lee. Chase, who is based here in Fort Lauderdale, but his dad is from Manchester in Northern England, and Chase giving chase at the moment, but Paredes cannot get past. That's the battle for 7th position. Sanca Bassana up to 8th, up to 9th, and Tiziano Antola. And what's going on there?
That was a 2:15 machine of Eric Questo, who got under pressure from Chase Lee. Somehow kind of bogged down out of the corner. Lee went to the outside and lost the spot to Francisco Paredes.
So Paredes taking advantage of and there goes Paredes taking advantage of the fact that Eric Cuesta left the door wide open, and Paredes thinking, I don't know what Ecuador it is for thank you very much, but he said thank you very much, and now Cuesta has to try and refight back. Up in front of them, Federique Lemieux and Nathan Dupuy continue to battle, and there they go, and there is Paredes now has Salvador Della Vecchia. Yes, Della Vecchia is now on a move up to 4th position. So the order is Gennaro Trappa leading this race. Yellow flag waving by the abandoned kart of Javier Chaparro. But we have Trappa leading by 2.8 seconds over Victor de Alencar. Then we have a gap of another 2.2 seconds back to Federique Lemieux. Behind Federique Lemieux is a gap of 1.2 seconds back to Salvador Della Vecchia. And Della Vecchia has just passed Nathan Dupuy, pushing Dupuy back into 5th position with Paredes, Cuesto, Chase Lee, and the rest.
The gap back from 1st to 2nd. Federique Lemieux then 3rd. Here's a look further back down the order. This is going to find, I believe, Salvador Della Vecchia applying some pressure to what looks to be maybe Lemieux there.
There we're watching the battle going on between Paredes and Cuesta through the middle of the circuit, down towards turn. This is the alternate view of the teardrop corner, and now we work from our camera stationed outside turn number 10 up towards turn number 16, 17, There's turn 18. It's Dupuis leading the yellow racer to Paredes. Then it's Cuesta. That is now out of turn number 20 in front of them. The leader is gone. Battle is on. Della Vecchia closing in on Lemieux and Della Vecchia to the inside, wasting no time whatsoever. Salvador Della Vecchia up a position. It's been a really strong run for Della Vecchia, who is now into third position. So Venezuela up onto the podium in the final here. Victor de Alencar continues to run in second position, somewhere ahead. And Gennaro Trapper, wow, Gennaro Trapper setting another new fast lap, 104.654 seconds for Gennaro Trapper, walking away with this one, although don't worry, fans of everybody else. Jorge Ortiz dominated the opening 2 rounds of last year's Winter Trophy. Gaston Irasu was a long way back in second, but then when we got to the second 2 rounds, Irasu closed the gap, and it all came down to the last race of the season for Ortiz to be confirmed as champion. So there is a lot of racing to go, an awful lot of racing to go. And of course, we could have extra entries at the Orlando Kart Center next weekend to further spice up the action. We are halfway home here in Junior Rotax. The battle is still on. You've got Dupuis in 5th position on your screen, leading Paredes in 6th, Cuesta in 7th, Chase Lee runs in 8th, Sankapasan is 9th, and then Tiziano Antola Nieto rounds out the runners. Trapper continues to extend his advantage, but it's Dupuis under real pressure from Paredes. Paredes looking to the inside, going into the teardrop. Cuesta is going to try and force his way through as well. Paredes runs a little bit wide. Cuesta picks up 2 places, side by side, into turns 16, and Eric Cuesta picks up 2 places. That puts the number 215 Kart, the Cosmic Chassis, the driver from the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, is into P5. A long way behind 4th place Frederic Lemieux, who is now fighting for a place to get back on the podium. There is Cuesta, and there is Paredes. Dupuis is faded back into a very creditable 7th position. It's not the fact the position that's creditable, it's the fact that Nathan's driven very well and very, very competitively. He certainly has a potential to get on a podium before this championship is over. Out of turn number 9, into turn 10. Now for this battle, the best battle on circuit. It's for 5th position between Dominican Republic's Eric Cuesta and Ecuador's Francesco Paredes. Will Paredes look to the inside? No. Well, he thought about it. They come through turn number 16. Again, that's a very inviting early apex into turn number 16. The track even opens out, but the drivers know that there's no runoff at the end of that 9th degree corner. And if they make a mistake, they're going to end up on this part of the track here, facing the wrong way. So they discretion, the better part of valor through most of the day so far. And now Paredes has a little nibble up the inside going into turn number 1. No dice there for Francesco Paredes. Out to turn 3, into turn number 4. Trapper leads by 5 seconds over to Alencar. Alencar 1.5 seconds in front of Salvador Della Vecchia, although Della Vecchia is closing in. Last time around, Della Vecchia did a 104.6 compared to Alencar's 105.1. So don't write off Salvador Della Vecchia yet in the battle for second place. At the moment, he's still got a little bit of work to do to catch that. We're on lap 10 of what will be, I think, a 16-17 lap race, but there is still time, although we're into the second half of this Junior Rotax final. We're watching Cuesta hold off Paredes. Behind Paredes, I have to say that Dupuis has faded back a little bit. Chase Lee is in 8th position. Sankapasan is 9th, and Antola still rounds out the top 10. Gennaro Trapper leading comfortably. Now we look at Salvador Della Vecchia. Here's that brewing battle for second position. Della Vecchia hammering the curbs, trying to put like a nail into a wall. 5.0 for the Alencar, a 104.8 for Della Vecchia. Here's the battle once again for 5th position. Questo and Paredes fighting. Paredes is going to be sick to the rear teeth, the back teeth to the side of the rear bumper. And Nathan Dupuis right in front of me, off camera. Nathan Dupuis ran wide coming out of the final corner and drove flat out down the start-finish straight with 2 wheels on the grass there. Managed to keep the kart pinned to the gas pedal pins. And that is going to be if Nathan Dupuis was dozing off, that would have certainly woken him up. So the lead battle, well, there's no lead battle because Gennaro Trapper is 5.8 seconds in front of Victor Alencar. But Victor Alencar is now within a second of Salvador Della Vecchia is within a second of Victor de Alencar. This is the battle we're still looking for. There's the battle for second place. Coming out of turn number 19. Eric Questo and Paredes, you can see the distance there, but here we go. On to another lap. It is to Alencar and Della Vecchia. This is lap number 14. We've got 3 laps to go, and it's bubbling up right. Salvador Della Vecchia's hand is getting closer and closer, and the momentum is on his side. But when he catches the Alencar, if he doesn't make the move quickly, he'll sort of just fall into the trap of running the same speed as the Alencar. He's going to have to capitalise on his extra momentum very quickly when he catches the driver in second place.
And the when is still a little bit questionable, right? Because we've only got 2.5 laps left here. They're already on the corner number 15. That Piquet teardrop here as they exit, and it's a 5 to 6 car length margin here. Della Vecchia has been chipping away. 1/10 of a second better last time by. Probably 1/10, maybe 2/10 better than de Alencar this time. Look how much he closes up through 17 and 18. He really ate him up right there in the braking zone. They'll head towards turn number 20 in the fight for second. The final spot on the podium, final 2 spots on the podium. Here he comes down the inside here with 2 laps to go, and he's clear for second.
For a driver that literally had a massive accident at the last corner in testing on Thursday, showing absolutely zero fear of just stuffing one up the inside going into turn number 1, flat chat. And the flag man has got the 2 sticks in the air, 2 laps to go. Gennaro Trapper, well, I have to say that the driver with the brightest race suit on the circuit hasn't had much TV time because he is literally the promoter of the old sprint cars series here in the UK. So he's really stunk up the show in terms of the battle of the race win. Not, though, for the battle of the remaining positions, which still rage on. Della Vecchia has clawed his way right through the field and is on course for potentially a second place finish unless Victor de Alencar has got something left behind. Here goes Trapper through turn number 1, closing in on Tiziano Antola Nieto. Here's the battle for second.
Salvador Della Vecchia, what a great drive here. You mentioned it early on. He didn't look impressive in the first few laps. It took him a long time to get to the field as the leader gets through lap traffic there. Gennaro Trapper was catching up to some lappers in the middle of the pack. We'll try and pan the camera over to him and try and find him here from this battle for second in just a moment here as Della Vecchia and de Alencar go through. Where is Gennaro Trapper? Well, he's coming out of the Piquet teardrop. He was able to get through lap traffic just off screen. Nearly took him out, but like you said, stunk up the show or not, Gennaro Trapper is having a good time here in Loxahatchee, Florida. He's done a phenomenal job to dominate all day long in Junior Max, score maximum points, pole award in qualifying, the win in heat number 1, the win in heat number 2.
Crossing the line with the lap kart with Francisco Paredes. This is why we call it an international racing family. 6 finishers, the top 6 finishers, 6 different nations, but your winner, provisionally subject, of course, to post-race tech scrutineering, is Gennaro Trapper. Buenos Aires has a winner. It's 14-year-old Gennaro Trapper from Salvador Della Vecchia. That was a very, very interesting. It bubbled up a little bit, but Gennaro Trapper, a dominant performance. The rest of the field, though, they now know what they've got to do. It sounds really, sounds strange to say. It can only get worse from Gennaro Trapper now. He started off so well, the rest of the field will now be working their fingers to the bone to catch him. has Gennaro Trapper got anything left in the tank? Is that the maximum performance that we have got from that kart? Can anyone else work towards it? Last year we saw it with Jorge Ortiz, absolutely waltzed home in the first round, and slowly but surely the rest of the field caught up with him as the championship progressed, and it all came down to the last race of the season.
Well, that's definitely to be expected at a brand new racetrack like Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex here in Loxahatchee, Florida, that we'll see a big progression in the field from Saturday to Sunday. You don't normally see that at a lot of circuits we go to because the drivers have figured it out and they've been here before. Yep. But with no testing coming into this week at all, you'd imagine a lot of the drivers would pick up, especially some of the newer pilots that are joining us here that maybe are a little bit further off. But one thing of note, Salvador de la Vecchia had a lap time in the same tenth of a second bracket for his best lap overall as Gennaro Trapper. So he had to come through the field here today. A little bit more long-run pace, and if he's able to maintain that kind of speed, Gennaro Trapper might have some company tomorrow.
And another thing you have to look at, ladies and gentlemen, is that the past 2 days, the practice sessions have been 10 minutes long. That race lasted 18.5 minutes. So that's the most consecutive laps, the longest time that any of these drivers, any of the teams have spent on circuit in one race. So they've learned a lot. How about tyre pressures? How about the setup of the kart? You know, how did the tyre pressures go off? Did the kart grip up too much? Did the kart get too loose as the race progresses? That is something I've only just learned, so that gives the rest of the field hope. What we do know is that the kart that was the first at the end of the race was not the kart that won. Salvador de la Vecchia in second place. The questions remain. Tomorrow, we're going to find out, round 2 tomorrow. Fascinating series of events that's going to unfold. Can de la Vecchia get even quicker? Has Gennaro Trapper got something in hand? Is that the fastest he's ever been? If that's the fastest that Trapper could get to, well, he is in trouble because de la Vecchia is just as quick and was getting stronger as that race progressed. But again, fantastic. This is why the prestige of this event is growing. We've had Argentina, we've got Venezuela, the United States, Canada, Dominican Republic, and Ecuador in the top 6 positions. Great news, and that's why the global Rotax family are really proud to support this event. That's why we're really happy to have you on board here at Kart Chaser.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a little bit like a micro version of the Rotax World Finals with how many different countries are here this week.
And that is exactly, Alex Vandal from BRP Rotax is here overseeing things. That is exactly what Rotax want to achieve, both here at the International Trophy South America in Peru, which is taking place at the end of June, the International Trophy Europe, which takes place at Le Mans at the end of July, and here at the other one-off or mini championships around the world. Yeah, we want to give all the drivers a flavour of what the main event is like. But the main event today is coming up shortly. Here is Senior Rotax. That is going to be 25 karts if everyone goes out. They're on track now. Time to button up the button up those jackets. It's going to be business time very, very soon.
Yeah, one of the 2 headline divisions, of course, in the BRP Rotax family, alongside DD2, which is still, of course, in that rebuild period here live from Piquet Race Park. We've got 5 of them on the entry list. Hopefully we'll get to see Manuel Ochoa was second in the second heat race. However, he was still not anywhere close to the pace needed to challenge Leon. They all were able to run about the same best lap as he was. No one was able to replicate it to the degree that he is, and that's, I think, a big testament to how active Noel Leon has been behind the wheel of a go-kart in the last month alone in terms of 3 national and international level events with a lot of testing coming into 2023. No surprise, he is one of the most consistent drivers here at the limit on a track with 20 turns and one of the longest layouts we go to here with Senior Max into the tram lines. Henry going green.
So, Noel Leon, Gianluca Savaglio lead a packed field, 24 drivers to the line. Eduardo Barrichello and Aidan Fox on the outs on the second row of the grid. Lights are out. It's a good start from Leon. Now, Savaglio cuts across the front of Eduardo Barrichello to take second place into turn number 1. That could be significant. They're 3 wide back in the pack. They come through turn number 3, sometimes 4 wide. They're going to sort themselves out.
We got a big crash over there.
That is 2, 4, 5 drivers all stacked up like dominoes. You can see that Luciano Navarro in the white kart is in the mix of all that. The number 3 to it, that's one of the Kart Works drivers. That's Chris Marino, the driver that finished 4th in this championship a year ago. And number 331 was another of the drivers that I believe was Tim Horrell in the
look at this
Sports.
here. Great pass by Augusto Soto Sharipa. He gets by Barrichello early there in the teardrop. So a big spot gain for that driver on the International Motorsport Lenzo kart. the only Lenzo kart in the field and one of the only International Motorsport entries on the grid as a whole, as Noel Leon leads to turn number 20. Here comes the pack on through the final turn as we go down the front straightaway. It is Leon over Savaglio. Then you go back to Soto Sharipa, then Barrichello, and then Aiden Fox. In that Fox and Son Karting independent OTK entry, they'll head through turn number 3. Behind him there, you can see Timothy Pernod. And then you go back to find, I believe, Camilo Trappa in the 308. Jorge Ortiz, great start up into the 8th spot on that SLA Kart Racing Energy. And then behind him there, Agustin Trappa in 9th, Ethan Thom in 10th. But a tighter packed front half of the group beyond Noel Leon, who is so good in the opening couple laps here. Just a massive gap he's able to put on the field here to start.
Noel Leon, that first lap, he went off like a cat with a firework up his backside. He was like a rocket ship away from the start. At the end of lap number 1, he leads by over a second from Gianluca Savaglio. So, is the kart of Noel Leon set up the tyres pressurized to come on really quickly so that they're on from the word go? We've got a kart that has spun into the barriers through turn number 1, and that is being pushed away. A driver trudging back. That could be Chris Marino. Yellow flags waving. Oh, we got 2 karts out. I think Chris Marino in the Kartwork chassis, and there's another driver. I think that could be Luciano Navarro out of the race. So Navarro out of the race, and so is Marino. And Manuel Ochoa down at the back of the field, but he is still out there. Up at the front, Savaglio. Will Savaglio's kart get better as the race goes on? He hasn't been in second place as far as I recall that much during the course. It's been Barrichello who has been generally chasing Noel Leon. We've got Soto Sharipa is there in 3rd position. Then it's Alberto Barrichello in 4th. Aiden Fox has been very consistent in 5th place. But Noel Leon now leads by 1.4 seconds. He can't keep this up for 19 laps. Can he?
I don't know. I mean, it's a long, long session here, but he is continuing to just progress above the rest here. Gianluca Savaglio, Augusto Soto Sharipa, Eduardo Barrichello, everyone fighting for second on back because Noel Leon that time by another half a second better than the rest of the field at best, if not an entire second. Huge gains here by Noel Leon on the field. A 1:02.66, where everyone else is still in the 1 minute 3 second bracket. So again, a half second improvement for him. That gap now to 1.9 seconds back to the Canadian Savaglio, Miami, Florida zone Augusto Soto Sharipa, Orlando, Florida-based Brazilian-American Eduardo Barrichello, who is closing back in on Augusto there for 3rd. So he might be able to make a charge at him. How close is he into the teardrop? I don't think he's close enough. He is not. They'll stay single file there, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They're starting to pull away as well from Aiden Fox as we've got 3 laps complete. Fox is coming under fire there. Good catch by Timothy Pernod for the 5th position.
Yep, Pernod. If Timothy Pernod hadn't had that one spin in the first heat race, Timothy Pernod would be a real contender here, it has to be said. But again, track position is key. Same goes for Wes Ducek in 12th position. Quite well, there's a move. Always Pernod at the inside of Aiden Fox. Yes, he makes that move stick. So Canada, the PSL Birrell kart passes the Fox and Sons L. Lando Norris kart of Connecticut's Aiden Fox and Timothy Pernod up into P5. Yeah, Wes Ducek, we saw qualifying in the top 4, went out early in the first heat race, finished 4th in heat number 2. He is back in 12th position. He's got a fast kart, but can he make his way up the field? Because he's got Fernando Barrichello in front of him, and then you've got Augustin Trappa in 10th, Ethan Thorne 9th, Jorge Ortiz in 11th position. Now behind the leaders, we've got Santiago.
Here is a pass
Aguero.
for Wes Ducek. Sorry, just behind the leaders. Fernando Barrichello right there. One driver to watch, Ducek on that RPG PK Sports Cosmic. He's made up a couple spots. Remember, he was a top 5 qualifier, but had that DNF in heat number 1. Well, he had to start back outside the top 10. He's up into 12th as of last time by. He was trying to get 11th from Barrichello, overshot the pass. Speaking of Barrichello, Dudu Barrichello was pressuring Augusto Soto Sharipa for 3rd earlier on. Now he is again, and there he goes. Turn 3 for Eduardo Barrichello, almost on cue from the skybox here. Maybe listening into the broadcast saying, all right, you're talking about me? Let me give you something to talk about. Nice pass loss there for P3.
Exactly. Well, he's obviously got his earpods in, but he didn't subscribe through his iOS device, so we got a cheaper deal. That's the deal. And he's listening there. Now, further back in the pack, behind Wes Duchek, we saw Santiago Igo Aguirre is 13th, Gonzalo Molina 14th, Isaac Canto is 15th, Sofia Marak is up at the 16th position after that terrible crash in qualifiers, so she's recovered well on a new chassis. Brian Garcia, Miguel Para Gueda is in 18th position. Then it's Manuel Gonzalez in 19th. Manuel Ochoa is 10th. The last driver still running is Tim Harrell in 21st. Sadly, we have lost Matthew Barose, Chris Marino and Luciano Navarro from the field, and we didn't have Mauricio Olaya, did not start the race. So that's what is down to the 24 starters. And a move down at turn number 3 is that Fernando Barrichello possibly going through behind Wes Duchek? It is. So Fernando Barrichello picks up a place, I think, going past Augustine Trapper.
Yeah, he got by Trapper. Right after Trapper got passed by Duchek. So a quick move there. Fernando Barrichello following Duchek on through. Now they've got a big gap up to this group here. This is about 5th on back here, led by Aiden Fox and company. Timothy Pernod has led the group. Fox is 6th right behind. Then you find Camilo Trappa, then Jorge Ortiz, then Ethan Tommy, and then it's a big gap back to the 10th placeman now of Wes Duchek, about 2 seconds the margin or so. Ahead of the group there is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, of course, with led by Gianluca Savaglio, but Eduardo Barrichello is bearing down on him there for 2nd and 3rd as they come across the line. Here comes 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Here comes 5th and 6th as Fox trails Pernod down to turn number 1. He'll close back up to him, but has not really kind of made a counter charge since losing that 5th spot. And there's the change for 2nd. Eduardo Barrichello going by on Gianluca Savaglio in turn number 3. So Dudu Barrichello fell back early, starting to get rolling now. The downside is, well, they're way back. 5 seconds already up to Noel Leon in just 7 laps here. A dominant performance by the Alessandros Racing USA CRG driver.
There are 12 laps to go, which is the length of a full heat race. So they're the bonus laps that are in the books. Now we've got a heat race. The problem is, though, they're giving Noel Leon a 5-second advantage. Last time around for Noel Leon was a 102.3. Same for Savaglio, a full second behind him. So Savaglio now beginning to struggle. Barrichello moves into P2. How long will it be before we see Augusto Soto Schripa go through into 3rd position and push Savaglio off the podium? Here's the battle going on behind them. Timothy Pernod in 5th, Aiden Fox in 6th, and the driver in the bright green race, that's Camilo Trapper. So Camilo Trapper, 16 years old. He's the oldest of the 3 Trapper siblings rating. And there is a move. That is Wes Duchek now closing in on what I believe would be the Ethan Thorne Jorge Ortiz battle for 8th position. So Ortiz in the red race suit, Thorne in the black race suit, and Wes Duchek in the race suit is closing in on the both of them.
Yeah, Wes Duchek right there. Ortiz making a move back on Ethan Thorne as they go on through turn number 14 here this time. They'll come towards the infield teardrop. Duchek is close enough to dive, but does not do it on Ethan Thorne, and the Nash Motorsports EOS Kart will hold on for the moment. But that was a quick closing of the gap there by Wes Duchek, so he's obviously still digging for as many points as he could salvage here today. Closes up to Thorne here through turn number 18 and 19. And down the front stretch up front, 2nd and 3rd starting to gap a little bit. Gianluca Savaglio and Dudu Barrichello pulling away from Augusto Soto Schripa. They're making no headway here on Noel Leon.
Quite the opposite, in fact. Leon continues to pull away. However, they have picked up their pace significantly. I'm surprised that Savaglio was able to sort of I thought that Savaglio was heading backwards and was going to get swallowed up by Augusto Soto Schripa. But as the cross flags go out, the signal we're at halfway. Savaglio is actually pushing Barrichello along. They've upped their pace, a 102.8 for Savaglio. That's his personal best lap, a 103.0 for Eduardo Barrichello. So last time round, they both posted their personal best laps of this race. The problem is that Noel Leon is going around in 102.6s, and his best lap is a 102.3, and the gap is now 6.3 seconds. Augusto Schripa has got, Soto Schripa has got a 2.3 second cushion over Timothy Pernod. It's actually the exit of turn 10. and he has parked that kart in deep in the barriers. He is sitting, I don't know if you can see, he's sitting on the tyre barriers just underneath our camera position.
There you can see it right there, right in between where the tire wall is. So they moved that tire wall to block the go-kart off so it doesn't get hit again, and the first thing another driver would hit would be tires.
I know what he has hit. See, that's that black bale of tires there, just the foreground of the previous camera shot. That has moved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yep, that barrier hit definitely impact for the Kart Republic drivers. So that takes him out of contention. Meanwhile, we passed the halfway marker here, 11 laps down, 8 laps to go. Noel Leon and then Alessandro's Racing CRG just on cruise control at this point here. What a performance for the Mexico driver here. He has won about everything there is to win. He's won the NASCAR Mexico Series title. He has won the U.S. F4 championship. He already had a couple podiums here in the U.S. Pro National season, and now here at the RMC Winter Trophy, he is on track for a dominant performance in north of West Palm Beach, Florida, to be the first Senior Max winner at the Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex. Behind him here, that fight for second, Dudu Barrichello versus Gianluca Savaglio should come down to the wire as they round turn number 19. They'll head towards the final turn and come around as we come across the start-finish line. This time, 12 laps complete and 7 laps to go.
What you were saying there, Xander, every driver wish that. So Noel Leon, the victories he's had recently, it's just he's riding the crest of a confidence wave. He is operating the peak of his abilities. Duchak now back up the inside. It's taken him a few laps. That's about the third time he's passed Thorne for 9th place. Ortiz in 8th. Thorne was 9th. It's Duchak up in the 9th. Hopefully he can make that move stick now. Jorge Ortiz, a very last-minute entry for the driver that won the Junior Rotax Winter Trophy last year. Finished 14th in the Rotax Grand Finals, representing Team USA last season. Would like to do so again. But Ortiz there, the red race suit. Oh, and you can see he's hanging out of the cart a little bit. I think that Jorge Ortiz is starting to look at the hallmarks of a driver that is easing over and making it a little bit easier on himself physically. Opposite lean into the corner. Sometimes that tells me that a driver's getting tired. However, Mark Kimber uses that style very, very successfully indeed. But he is getting caught by Duchak. Duchak looked like he was about to have a little look at the inside. And now will we see where Duchak make the move? Yes, we will. And Thorne decides, oh, well, if 2-for-1 special offer. And he tries to make it as well. And, yeah, it looks as though Jorge Ortiz is beginning to fade, whether that's a kart or a driver or a combination of both. But I said we've now completed 12 laps, Xander. That's a heat length. Now that's a heat in the books, and they've still got 7 laps to go. It's going to be a real test of mettle. We're going to talk about traffic, lapped traffic, because Noel Leon is dominating 8 seconds in front. We have got, well, Gonzalo Molina back there, so we've got 20 drivers still running, and Tim Harrell is nearly a minute behind the race leader. But here's the battle for second position, and it's Barrichello and Savaglio still going for it. Here is a fight further back for 6th position, 5th position rather. Aiden Fox and Camilo Trapper. Trapper to the inside. Oh, Fox runs a bit wide there, and it's getting more and more treacherous to make a move going into turn number 1, Xander, because of the marbles on the exit. If you're forced offline and you miss your apex, you're on less grippy tarmac heading towards the barriers at nearly full speed. So you've got to be brave to stick it up the inside going into turn number 1. We've got 20 karts still running behind the top 10. Ortiz now in 10th place as we watch the battle between Trapper and is that Timothy Pernod now behind Trapper? No,
and Fox.
That's
Yeah,
Fox,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Fox, they both have kind of dropped Timothy Pernod. Here's a look back at the leader now.
Catching
15
lap traffic.
Laps complete. Yeah, there he is. He'll catch the lap traffic of Tim Harrell. So hopefully Noel Leon gets to the lap traffic pretty seamlessly. He's got a big insurance gap, but that could, again, factor in for the fight for second and third when Barrichello and Savaglio get there. Harrell still going ahead of Leon.
Blue flags, or not, as the case may be. So Tim Harrell doesn't know the race lead is behind him. This is going to be significant. He gets out of the way. Now, in the previous race, we saw We saw Gennaro Trapper almost getting taken out on the last lap in the junior race, but again, no blue flags, so the driver getting lapped doesn't know he's being lapped.
Let's pick up that battle for second. Here they come over to turn 15. Gianluca Savaglio versus Eduardo Barrichello. It'll come down to the final few circuits. This time by 3 to go here as the sun comes back out at Piquet Race Park. Beautiful afternoon at the christening of this racetrack, as we've coined it here, out of turns 18 and 19. This fight is for second. Noel Leon long up the road here in Senior Max. We've covered nearly everyone in the field so far. Battles all the way through the top 10. These two drivers, while they may fight for second for maximum points today, I'm sure they'd love to try and learn a little bit overnight of where they can find some more speed to challenge the Alessandro's Racing CRG driver, because it has been a clinic. Over 10 seconds,
dear.
And we got one off.
Aiden Fox.
Oh, no, in turn number 1, Aiden Fox, and the 313 goes off.
And that has just stopped at the end of the main straight. Something has seized up, or has a chain come off? He drags the car out of the way. Here's the fight for second place. Very quickly, if something changes, cut in Zander. But we want to talk about Fernando Barrichello in 8th, Augustin Trapper in 11th. Sorry, Trapper in 12th, Santiago Igor Aguera 13th, and Isaac Canto, Manuel Gonzalez, Manuel Ochoa, Sofia Marak, Miguel Para Aguera, and then Brian Garcia with Tim Harrell. They're the drivers outside the top 10, just so the families back home can know that every driver gets a good couple of mentions. But the white flag is in the air. No race for the victory. That's Noel Leon. He's got 1 foot on the top step of the podium. Who is going to be second? Gianluca Savaglio begins to defend from Eduardo Barrichello, trying to go around the outside of turn number 1. Now the crossover. Watch the crossover from Barrichello. Can't quite get it when he sends it to the inside. Yes, he does.
Nice send down the inside for Dudu Barrichello. He gets through. Savaglio goes back on the offensive here to try and challenge. We'll stay on this fight as long as we can, while still giving Noel Leon his due airtime here when he comes across the line. For now, as we go into turn 10, Barrichello slides wide. Savaglio can't get underneath him. He's almost there as they go back down the S's towards turns 13, 14, and over to the teardrop here for the final time. Barrichello versus Savaglio. Down low, holds the spot away. As they come on out, it'll be maybe 2 more passing opportunities. Meanwhile, Noel Leon is headed for home. A perfect day in the works for the CRG driver. He dominates round 1 here at Piquet Race Park. Across the line for Leon. Here's that battle for second. Final turn. Barrichello versus Savaglio. It will go the way of the Brazilian. Eduardo Barrichello hangs on for second.
And a great scrap behind them. Finishing in 4th place, Augusto Soto Schripa was just 2.9 seconds back in 4th. And now, 5th position, still drivers coming across the line. Camilo Trapper finished in 6th. What a recovery for Wes Duchak, who takes 6th.
FIFO Barrichello
on the last lap. And the number 320 Kart of, is that the number 320? Yes, sorry, the number 320. That's Eduardo Barrichello's number on the entry list. But on my entry list, of course, it's Fernando Barrichello out of the race. As we look down the order, where's Duchak in 6th, Timothy Pernod in 7th, Ethan Thorne 8th, Jorge Ortiz 9th. So Augustin Trapper came home in 10th position ahead of Santiago Igor Aguera, Isaac Canto, Manuel Gonzalez, Manuel Ochoa, Sofia Marak in 15th position. Then it is Miguel Paraguede and Brian Garcia with Tim Harrell will be next across the line. So Fernando Barrichello in Kart 320, failing to finish on the last lap. Obviously a mechanical failure there. I do apologise for confusing you, the viewer, there on my entry list. The 2 Barrichello brothers have had their numbers mixed up, but it's Fernando in Kart 320, and it is Eduardo, obviously, in Kart 319. What can we say about Noel Leon there? We're looking at number 311 coming in, Timothy Pernod into the pits as poor old Fernando Barrichello. But his brother is on the podium, however, after a very, very good scrap behind Noel Leon. So both junior and senior Rotax classes were a bit of a walk in the park for the win. A lot of excitement going on behind as we look at the number 321 Kart of Gonzalo Molina, the Uruguayan driver from Montevideo. And Uruguayan driver finished second in the junior Rotax Winter Trophy last year, but Gonzalo Molino not having a good start to his championship this season. But good to see that Uruguay once again represented. And now Aidan Fox's kart being Aidan dragging it off back onto the circuit, the recovery vehicle on track, and so this is what happens at the end of a kart race. The karts that don't make it home, the wagons that stop rolling, they get put unceremoniously on the back of the recovery vehicle, which I have to say is doing a fair few laps here this weekend. The driver then sits in the kart, helmet on, whilst he or she is towed back to pit lane. But there's a few wagons to collect. There's Fernando Barrichello just on the, just appearing there on cue. The Birrell Art race suit there, Fernando Barrichello. He gives his brother a thumbs up and wishes his dad Rubens good luck. Shrug of the shoulders. That's to say, hey, that's racing. You know, it's one of those things. Obviously, that tells me that there was no incident. It was just a mechanical issue because, what can you do? Sometimes you win, sometimes the kart wins, and sometimes a 19-lap thrash around a very physical track wins and beats you both.
Yeah, it definitely does. So unfortunate there for Fernando Barrichello. He will get credited down with 19th, at least get points for completing more than 75% of the main. The same for Aidan Fox, who again goes out with just 3 laps to go, 16 laps complete. Barrichello out in the final stages there as the laps come to a close. Gonzalo Molina, Matthew Verroque, Chris Verino, Luciano Navarro, all with issues in the main. But the first 2 complete. 4 more mains are coming your way here. Stick with us, folks. Car Chasers coverage of round 1 of the RMC Winter Trophy live from Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex rolls on right after this short break. Masters Max coming your way. Well, welcome back here to Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex in Loxahatchee, Florida. We're approaching the halfway marker in our main events here. 4 main events still coming your way. Masters Max onto the racetrack and one of the more entertaining Masters divisions I've seen here in quite some time. Rubens Barrichello and Antonio Pizzonia Sr. have had no shortage of trading blows so far here this weekend. Of course, heat number 1 going the way of Rubens. Heat number 2, Pizzonia looked like he might have had him, ultimately faded backwards. The two ex-Formula 1 drivers will make up the front row in this double-digit field with a lot of drivers coming through the field after some miscues in Heat 1 or Heat number 2. Most notably there with Mr. Watson, an engine change here, having, of course, an engine let go at the end of the second heat race.
I've got to say, very surprised to see after seeing the showman looking somewhat dejected, like he'd just had his show cancelled after the end of the second heat. He's back out there with a new waft propulsion unit on the back of his number 602 kart, and hopefully he'll be a nice fresh engine ready to go. Now, I'm checking that we had 16 entries. We haven't really seen much of David Llewellyn all day. We certainly don't have 16 karts out there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 13 karts or so now. Laurentiu Mardan is there. Let's see who we have got as they go into turn number 1, start of the 17th lap race. It is Rubens Barrichello. Oh, and a spin in the pack there. That is, trying to see who that is. It's the number 615 kart. That's Lucas Iglesias out of the race. So, the drivers we did have at the start were already -1 of their number. Barrichello leads. Pizzonia Jr. Now here goes Pizzonia up the inside. It turns out no. He thought about it. Barrichello held him off. Vince Carey runs in 3rd position at the moment. And then I think it is not Mundy Lawyer. Mundy Lawyer has dropped away a little bit. Is that into 4th position, Laurentiu Mardan? I think it is the techno kart of Mardan after his mechanical retirement from heat number 2. Mardan is there in 4th position, challenging Vince Carey for 3rd, but it's the two ex-Formula 1 drivers from Brazil running 1 and 2 with Mundy Lawyer in 5th position. So Lawyer in 5th, we're going to try and see where Harold Watson has got to. Oh, Laurentiu Mardan was up the inside of Vince Carey going into turn number 1, and he carries on at the inside into turn 2, and Vince Carey has to give best. Mardan onto the podium, Carey down to 4th. Mundy Lawyer now trying to fight back after a poor start from the 56-year-old Peruvian driver, and here they come to the flip-flop section at turns 5, 6, 7 and 8 into turn number 9 and down towards turn 10, but the leaders are already into turn number 10, pulling away. Barrichello heads Pizzonia, then a gap back to Mardan, pulling away from Carey. Lawyer in 5th position, and behind Mundy Lawyer in P6 is the that's the Slar kart. That is the number 608 kart of Francisco Barber, the SLA karting experience chassis, the Chilean driver from Santiago in Chile. Lawyer passing Carey. Carey fighting back. Ooh, a little bit of door handling there between the two of them, and Vince Carey has to back out of that one. And here's a battle once again for the lead. Here's a battle on your screens for what is 7th position, and Harold Watson trying to get involved in that scrap. It's Diego Rodriguez in 7th, Watson is 8th, Ramirez 9th, then it's Victor Kuzmachov in 10th, Dioniso Espejo in 11th, Lucas Iglesias out of the race. So we've got 11 karts running of the 12 drivers. So out of the race before we lost 4 out of the 5 GP racing entries. Which isn't great news for that Toronto-based team. It's the 4 GP car, both Llewellyn brothers and both Le Provost brothers not racing, which in the final, which is a big shame for them. They drove all the way down from Toronto, only arrived yesterday afternoon, and 4 out of the 5 of them haven't made the final. Hopefully they just retired for an early bath today, and they will get themselves ready to go again tomorrow. Up at the front, oh, Rubens Barrichello kicking up the dirt, coming out of turn number 20. That's going to settle. It certainly looks as though the pace advantage that he enjoyed over Antonio Pizzonia in the 2 heat races has evaporated slightly. This is a 17-lap final, so 2 laps less than the senior race, but again, probably the drivers are quite grateful for that, being at Rubens is 50, but still fit as a fiddle. He's the 2022 Brazilian Stock Car Championship winner, winning titles even at 50 years of age, and showing no signs of slowing down whatsoever. Neither is Antonio Pizzonia, who of course has come back to karting as his son Antonio Jr.'s races. So Antonio Sr. thinking, well, while you're here, may as well have a little go myself. And here they come. So Pizzonia has a good run through turn number 20 onto the start-finish straight. Barrichello keeps him at arm's length through turn number 1. Now we see that the precision nature of these 2 ex-Formula 1 drivers, apex after apex after apex, identical line through turn number 3. Now we head out through turn number 4. They're extending their lead over Laurentiu Mardan, who runs in 3rd position. Oh, Pizzonia's had a look at the inside going into turn number 9. That was close. That was not really a committed move. That was just a brief reminder to Rubens, I'm still here. Don't worry, haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah, Antonio Pizzonia Sr., definitely a little different strategy than where we saw him earlier on in the day. We saw him kind of, get aggressive with the Rubens early and then pay for it. And now he's seeming to wait until the tires come in a little bit more, give himself a little more time, knowing again how long this main event is. At 17 laps, that's still a pretty long final. Should be about, as we mentioned in Junior Max, 18.5 to 19 minutes in total. He can wait this one out.
Yep.
As long as he feels like he's close enough in pace to Rubens, there's no rush to go to the front. He's right there, 2 car lengths away. He could almost pull the trigger at any point that he wants to. He's just got to make sure that he stays within that range and doesn't allow Rubens to get further and further up the road. So right now he's in a safe spot. 5 laps completed here with 12 laps to go, and Barrichello will take them out of turn number 5 and down the S's once again.
That's where he looked at the inside into turn number 9 a lap ago. Doesn't have a look this time around. He's just scoping out this, because of course the question that Antonio's got on his mind is, okay, I want to make the move late enough so that Rubens hasn't got a chance to come back at me, but the longer I leave it, there's always a chance that Rubens is going to defend and not let me get past, which is, as Rubens checks over his shoulder, oh, they're like a pair of cadets out there. They're like a pair of micro drivers looking over their shoulders here and there, sussing out the competition. Goes to show it does not matter what you put them in. It doesn't matter how long they've been racing. A race is a race, and whether it's the Monaco Grand Prix or a Rotax Winter Trophy race in West Palm Beach, the urge and the desire to win never ever leaves you. If you're a born racer, you'll be a racer for every single one of your days. They are pulling away. They're 5 seconds in front of Laurentiu Mardan in 3rd place. Mundi Lawyer is 4th. Vince Carey 5th. Harold, the showman, Harold Watson, up into 6th position. Francisco Barber is 7th. Diego Rodriguez, Daniel Ramirez, Victor Kuzmichov, and Dionisio Espejo are the remaining runners. So apart from Lucas Iglesias, the 12 drivers have started. 11 of them are still running, and hopefully we'll see the Fluellings and the Le Provosts back with us tomorrow.
Well, how about a drive forward so far as we watch this battle here to see if it does open up. I don't know if it will. So out of the turn 19 complex, we'll come across the start-finish line and run through the field once again here with Barrichello and Pizzonia Sr. headed down to turn number 1. You go back from the top 2, though, it kind of changes up a little bit. Here comes Laurentiu Mardan, about 6 seconds back there in that Techno Kart down to turn number 1 here. He's had a kind of a more silent day. Overall, he's just hovered around been 5th to 6th or 7th place pace, maybe towards the top 3, and now just through attrition and kind of being the smart veteran driver that he is, has found himself into 3rd here on a track where, again, everybody's green. Nobody has experience compared to, I asked him if he thought he felt more comfortable going against Pizzonia and Barrichello here or Orlando. He said, well, at Orlando, it's the home racetrack for both of those 2 drivers, so he feels a lot more pegged this race is one he might have a better shot at contending with them. Unfortunately, that's not been the case here for day 1. He still has some pace to find. That time by was still about a second off the gap of the top two. You go back from Laurentiu Mardan. Here's the group in 4th and 5th. You see Mundi Lawyer, again, the elder statesman in the field of the veterans in the Masters Max class. He runs in 4th, about 5 car lengths up the road from Vince Carey, and the two of them have just kind of been around each other almost all day long, no matter what position they were in. 3rd, 4th, 5th at the moment here, 4th and 5th. 6th or 7th, they've kind of been near each other. As Mardan comes across the line, then it'll be the cross flags given to the rest of the field. Here comes Lawyer and Vince Carey. You go back from them, well, Harold Watson has worked his way forward. We got problems on the far side of the racetrack here. Oh. It is one of the Alessandro's Racing OTKs. On camera, there it is, the 613, Diego Rodriguez, the captain of the ship. Team owner Diego Rodriguez and the Alessandro's Racing Cosmic. He's out and done here in the final, was running inside the top 10 safely there in 8th. He will not get to finish the final half of this main event. Hate it for him. However, it's a flip of the script, of course, for Harold Watson.
I was going to say, the Alessandro's Racing triumphant with Noel Leon in the last race, but you say the captain, well, sadly, in this race, the ship has sunk.
Yeah, not a great day for him personally. Great day for business
great day
with Noel Leon dominating in Senior Max over the biggest field here this weekend, but not so much a great day for him. However, it's a good rebound here for Harold Watson. I mean, considering the fact that he wasn't sure he was even going to make the grid for this Masters Max main event with that engine grenading in heat number 2, to be running at all is impressive, and to be running inside the top 6 is a good run from the back of the grid.
Indeed, and of course, you register your engine, so he had to go through the whole procedure of getting the engine through tech with a new serial number, new tech form, all those things. And this is where that Rotax helped me, because you've got the distributors here, they've got the engine so that you can do that. You're not on your own here in Rotax Racing. Sometimes, that would be game over, go home. It's a long way to go home to Lima, Peru for Harold the Showman Watson, but he's back out there. And of course, he's going to be thinking, hopefully this engine will, as the engine beds in, it'll get better and better and better. I'm looking at his lap time, it's a 105.2 last time around. That is only 1.2 seconds off the two drivers you're looking at on your screen now. Rubens Barrichello and Antonio Pizzonia. Senior there, the number 617 kart, the Tony Kart at Pitsonia, and he's just been sitting and watching. He doesn't want to engage in all-out warfare just yet with Rubens Barrichello. He is happy to sit there. The problem is, though, is that Pizzonia's had a bad result. He had that spin earlier on, so Barrichello is carrying an awful lot of championship points. So Pizzonia, it really is in his interest to sort of make a move and try and start pegging Rubens Barrichello back. It's a 4-round championship, 1/4 of the way through. At the end of today, you guarantee yourselves that those drivers will be thinking about championships. We were talking about behind Harold Watson. Francisco Barber runs in 7th place. Daniel Ramirez in 8th. 9th for Dioniso Espejo. And then it is Mr. Victor Kuzmichov running out. Espejo, in 9th, and Victor Kuzmichov running in 10th position. There is a brief look at the blue race suit of Victor Kuzmichov, and there is a look at the battle of between Lawyer and Carey. Here are your leaders, though, one more time as we complete lap 11 out of 17. Still, Pitsonia, well, doesn't want to get too much further behind Rubens Barrichello. At this point, Xander, Pitsonia is still picking up a draft, picking up a slipstream from Rubens' kart on the...
Following him in his tire tracks, he's not close enough to just kind of go whenever he wants to. He's not pushing him around the racetrack. Rubens knows that as well. He's just got to kind of keep this gap. It is Pizzonia Sr. who needs to find the pace, and he has not found it that time either. Barrichello, can you believe it or not, nearly matched his lap time before. Another 103.69 to a 103.62, and Pizzonia only at a 103.7. So Rubens Barrichello, by the 100th, is inching away from Antonio Pizzonia Sr. and making this here what could be a potential battle more of a runaway. We'll watch them come out of here. It's really the final couple turns that Rubens Barrichello seems to be better. The rest of the racetrack, Pizzonia at least is even, if not closing in, including here into the teardrop, turn 15. I mean, he closes down to only a car length back. It's the exit, that launch Rubens gets coming out of this next sector, the final part of the circuit, turns 17 and 18. Look how deep Pizzonia goes in and how narrow it kind of makes him in turn 19. Barrichello gets such a good launch coming out of this corner here. It carries him all the way through turn 20, all the way down to turn number 1, and that, I think, is where the difference is. He'll open that gap back up. Now, this time, Pizzonia has closed in a little bit as a net, but he still lost overall in that sector, as that time by Pizzonia resets fastest lap of the session.
But now, watch Pizzonia through this next section. There's one area of the track that Pizzonia is stronger. It's this section now. So I think Pizzonia comes through this flip-flop. He's quicker than Rubens through here over the bumps. But watching to turn number 10, I think that if Pizzonia is going to have a chance, it's going to be in this next corner. But, of course, Rubens has got such a better exit out of turn number 9 that Pizzonia can't quite get it there. But Pizzonia is certainly quicker through this section. But like you were saying, Xander, the rest of the laps, Pizzonia's quick into the teardrop as well. But Barrichello able, throughout of the final sector, the final few corners, that's where Rubens comes into his own, just like you were saying, Xander, and we're seeing that play out now. Pizzonia catches him, but then we get to a corner where Rubens is quicker and Pizzonia loses that advantage. Now can Pizzonia stay in his wheel tracks? This could give Antonio a chance if he can stay in the slipstream, but Rubens is very quick in a straight line. Pizzonia is closer, dive bomb into turn number 2. No, Rubens just doing enough to cover his line. Pizzonia is going to have to do a dive bomb, I think, into turn number 9, if anywhere, because we're going to watch now. Now Pizzonia is going to be quicker than Rubens over the next 4 or 5 corners.
Yeah, this is, again, where he's so good. Up and over the curbing there. Barrichello, not so much. Now, Pizzonia, again, like you said, charges the turn quite a bit more than Rubens, and that's what's hurt him in a few sections there. You can see he's sliding it with the back tires, locking up the rear tires, getting the full motion out of the brakes as they go through 14. Right here, this is close enough. I mean, just almost into that teardrop. We've seen a lot of guys pass into this corner here from a car length away.
Rubens is starting to defend. If you notice there, he was in the middle of the track going into the teardrop. I think he realizes that he's under a little bit of pressure. Not sure if Rubens' kart is handling as well as he would like it to at this stage. Pizzonia's kart, certainly, again, good on the throttle here. Pizzonia is close one more time, but he's not. Oh, Rubens good through turn number 20. This is real cat and mouse. White flag goes up. We're on
the final lap, indeed. There, white flag in the air. So this is it. This is the final lap. We thought we had one more. We are just down to the final circuit. So final chance for Antonio Pizzonia Sr. They got the 2 to go. They got the white flag. Can he get him into 9? He's not enough there. He's got to be able to get closer in some other point. Maybe turn 15, especially right here as Rubens got wide. And look at that, there's lap traffic up the road.
Boy. It's Kuzmichov and Espejo in front of them. There's no blue flags. Are they going to notice the 2 F1 drivers bearing down on him? Oh, I can't really look, but I have to because you've got to commentate. It's Barrichello and Pizzonia, 3 corners to go. They're going to close in. Rubens Barrichello's going to be having kittens as they come into the next corner. What can Pizzonia do? Drag race the lines, Xander.
Oh, my goodness here, Henry. They go into the final turn. Rubens has to go low. Pizzonia is going to get a full line, but he's going to also get caught by the traffic. Barrichello wins the Masters back main event. And you can see both drivers frustrated by the lap traffic coming in at the very end. Here's some other battles coming towards the finish. Look at this. Laurentiu Mardan has been hunted down by Mundi Lawyer for 3rd. Mardan will hold on to the final spot on the podium. Lawyer will finish in 4th. Vince Carey 5th. A very close run there for the Technocart as he faded late. But my goodness, the lap traffic nearly affected that one. It basically did. It looked for a moment it was going to hurt Rubens. Instead, it kind of hurt Pizzonia because it took away the passing zones as Rubens defending down the inside was also passing the lap traffic, and he could kind of use it as a pick and hold the spot. So Rubens Barrichello the winner. Antonio Pizzonia Sr. finishes in 2nd. He'll cruise on by him on the cool-down lap, and a little thumbs up to both of them there. And Pizzonia kept him honest all the way through that main event there, Henry, but he just didn't have enough there to get there before the checkered flag flew.
Yeah, and again, the lap traffic really, I mean, I know Pizzonia's a little bit frustrated, but I mean, there have been no blue flags. You can't blame the lap traffic. I have to say, Viktor Kuzmichov was running wide. He didn't block anybody. He was just getting out of the way. There goes a couple of drivers across the line. The last driver, Dioniso Espejo, finishing on the last lap. But that race, again, a very, very exciting. It bubbled up there. Could Antonio Pizzonia, if there was one more lap, could he have made the move? We will never know. But Rubens Barrichello will be breathing a sigh of relief there as we're now halfway through the main events, halfway through the finals, and we have had wins for Argentina in junior, for Mexico in senior, and now for Brazil in Masters. It has been certainly a South American haven so far for the three classes we've had. Minimax, Micromax, and then finally GD2 up next. But again, what a great way, what better to sit here and watch two ex-Formula 1 drivers go at it in karts at a brand new circuit. For looking for it. We're both battling for a ticket to race at the World Grand Finals.
Yeah, I like the way you described that as well. A very good cat and mouse fight all the way to the end. Not every race is fireworks, crashing side by side, battling. Some of it here is a will they, won't they kind of dance, and in that case, won't they up until the very end, and then getting around the lap traffic just kind of close the door for Bazogna to do a last-minute dive. But even then, I don't know if he would have gotten there regardless, because that final sector, Rubens was so good all the way through.
Rubens Barrichello, veteran of 326 Formula 1 Grand Prix, 11 race victories, Brazilian stock car champion, not known as one of the easiest drivers to pass. And, of course, the longer that Antonio left it, the fewer opportunities had. I think he decided earlier, I'm going to get one shot. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, and unfortunately, the time never came for him to make that move. But, of course, they get to do it all again tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. This is only the first half of a double-header weekend here at Piquet Raceway Park. We've got Minimax, Micromax, and then DD2 up next. I have to say, the Rotax drivers really putting on a good show here for fans. And if you want to join us at the Orlando Kart Centre, spectators are welcome as well. You can watch it all on Kart Chaser, but you can enter as well. Please get your entries in, register with the RTX group on the Global Rotax app, and pay your money. Get your cart in, and we'll hopefully see more of you. We've got 85 drivers here representing 15 different nations. The youngest is 7, the oldest is 56, and hopefully we'll have a few more. I know that Kartworks have got Jerry
White with
Jerry
Kart
White,
Works.
that's one. Brain phase. Jerry White's team, he's got a few more drivers coming down. Of course, you've got the Cavallino Classic here at West Palm Beach this weekend. So the biggest Concours d'Elegance car show anywhere in the world is happening just down the road, which is why hotel rooms are a little bit of a premium this way, and a few more drivers that could be entering in Orlando as well.
Yeah, and of course, Orlando, as you know, Orlando Airport, where you flew into, your fiance flew into as well. Much easier to get a flight into Orlando Kart Center, and they've got a very healthy club and growing breed of races, whereas up here at Piquet Race Park, we are the first race. So while there is a big community in Florida, there's obviously a big international presence that comes with the RMC Winter Trophy. I would not be surprised to see us be at 120, 130 total entries when we go to Orlando, with more drivers running at a racetrack that they've got familiarity with as well.
And of course, we are about 2.5 hours south of Orlando International Airport, 3 hours in traffic. Friday night traffic, as it was. But again, so the karting community here in West Palm Beach has been starved of an international karting venue. Starved no longer. They can now begin to feast on the Nelson Piquet Jr. and his team have put together, and we're really, really excited to be part of the journey from the very, very start of this. It's always great to see, what will this venue become in the next 6 months, the next 12 months, when you come back here in a couple of weeks with another championship. What will improvements will the circuit have made? Well, we're back here next year with the Rotax Winter Trophy. Hopefully I'll be here with you guys as well. What will the venue look like then? It's going to be fantastic to see the progression. We've got a very dedicated team of officials here at Piquet Raceway Park, but we've got a very dedicated group of drivers heading out onto the circuit, because it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for final main event in Minimax.
Yeah, and don't worry, I've got a long list of, I won't say complaints, but suggestions box for our skybox. I'm expecting some air conditioners.
Hang on a minute. Wait there just a minute. Are you moaning about our skybox?
No. I have suggestions for improvement. Let me be clear here. Our skybox, we need just, again, the waiters, the waitresses, we need some more of them, to be bringing the hors d'oeuvres on by. We need some AC. We need some LED lights in here.
Yes.
We need a full smoke show. No, we need to be pampered. I'm kidding, of course. course. What a,
I'm
you know,
not. We need
I mean, don't
waiters.
get me wrong, it'd be great to have, but a huge thanks to the Piquet crew, as we mentioned throughout this entire stream, for all them for the hard work to make this event happen here. I mean, this is one of the quickest turnarounds I've seen of a track in quite some time, from paving all the way to hosting an international race, especially an international race as your debut race and your debut opening week to the public.
Yep.
I mean, that is practically unheard of. So the fact that we're able to be here, we've pulled it off. We've had little bumps in the road, but as a whole, it's been a pretty smooth weekend here. And I've heard comments here from, again, a lot of industry members all around that while it's a little bit kind of uncertainty coming into the weekend, at the end of the day, the racing has been good. There's obviously plenty of places to improve, just like anywhere else in the world. At the same moment here, it's provided some really good racing, and hopefully we're in store for some more.
Well, what I have seen as as the carts come round there, what I have seen very, very quickly is the organisers, the Rotax family, the promoters here, working with the circuit very, very closely in total harmony, just to make sure everything is as right as it can be, which is a really good thing to see. Now, what is a good thing to see is a full grid of Minimax carts heading into the tram lines, led by, is this Edward Kennedy? And we have got Edward Kennedy on the
outside and Antoine Lemieux down on the inside. Kai Johnson lines up on the inside of row 2 alongside, I believe, Alexis Bayarjon, who's had to come to the field from the back the entire way. We're green down at turn number 1 here. A little messy on the start as they go through turn number 2. David Zhao to the outside lane. Bayarjon will hold on to the 4th spot as they've cycled through. We've got 3 carts together. One's lost a tire.
We have got 3 wheels on 1 wagon, and I'm trying to see it down at the back of the field. I was just going to say what great news it was to see some of the drivers. That is number 103. Remy Guzman, 3 wheels. We've got the 109 cart out. That's Alex Miller, and the number 121. Oh, Max Mukaram. Oh, what a day for Max Mukaram. He has not finished there. He's sitting down on the thing there and on the tyre barrier. They're all okay, the drivers. Max Mukaram just sitting on the tyre, holding his side a little bit. Remy Guzman has lost a wheel, and you just think to yourself, in the rush to get up to the grid, did somebody just forget about that rear tyre? And all the drivers are okay, but of course, Max Mukaram, well, Max, look at it this way. You're not going to have a worse day in karting than you've just had. Let's be absolutely fair. Today, I don't know whether you walked under a ladder or ran over a black cat out on I-95 outside the circuit, or, you have upset the racing gods somehow today. But tomorrow is a new day, Max, and I'm sure tomorrow will be better. And you can see them all running away now back to the safety of the infield section of the circuit. It does mean that we can now look at the battle at the front of the field. And the battle at the front of the field is being led by the very, very impressively driven Energy chassis, 10-year-old Nash Motorsports, Montreal. No, it's not, sorry. What am I talking about, Henry? It's the black cart of, is that the Blast Force cart, I believe?
Indeed.
At the front of the field, it is. The Black Blast Force cart of Alexis Bayarjon leading the way. Kai Johnson is second. Then is that Lemieux in third, with gap back to 4th place. Luke Conjanapatak is there in 5th. So Edward Kennedy has fallen back. Now Edward Kennedy comes back to repass Luke Conjanapatak. And in turn number 4 we go. So we have got, leading the way, coming through the flip-flop section, that is, now is that Lemieux or thing? Trying to struggle to see that. My old eyes are not as good as they used to be. It's Antoine Lemieux, I do apologise. So Antoine Lemieux leading the way. Kai Johnson in second position. Bayarjon in third. David Zhao is 4th. Then behind Zhao is Conjanapatak with Kennedy. In fact, Kennedy's now 5th. Conjanapatak down to 6th. Iago Yempen is 7th. Then it's Matisse Brunetti, Luis Cifres, Marx Ruiz, Iso Teng. So Iso Teng has fallen back to 11th place. Then Luis Thomas Pelletier in 12th position. Now, at the start of the race, we didn't have, sadly, Bashi Jimenez, who crashed in qualifying, and we didn't have Megan Espejo, who crashed in one of the first heats. Hopefully they are all okay. But the karts, we had 15 karts starting. We lost 3 at the start, so we now have 13 karts still, 12 karts still running. But leading the way, Antoine Lemieux, Kai Johnson, Alexis Baerjean battling over second position. Into the teardrop we go on lap number 4, and it is Baerjean who is at the head of the chasing pack. So Baerjean passes Kai Johnson for P2. Johnson was quickest in qualifying, but now Johnson has struggled in terms of race pace. He's not had the same race pace as he has in qualifying. But Antoine Lemieux, the younger of the 2 Lemieux siblings, Antoine leading this way convincingly. Yesterday in practice, it was not the best day for Lemieux. He had a problem, battery problem, then another mechanical issue, but it's all come, well, great good for him so far, as we watch the chasing pack led by, well, this is not the chasing pack,
this is
second.
Fourth
this is
here,
fourth
yeah.
place, sorry.
Yeah, David Zhao leads this group over Edward Kennedy in tow with the Praga of Luke Kenjan-Epitak. And then right behind him, you have Iago Lempin, who we saw throughout that final heat race there with a lot of battles around him and including him here. So this is 4th back to 7th, 8th on the racetrack at the end of the group, just barely is Matisse Brunetti. Then it's a big gap to Luis Cifres and on backwards there. So we'll keep a tab on lap times for the top 3 to see if Alexis Baerjean can start to make a dent on the 2.5 and some change margin that Antoine Lemieux has built up back to P2. Baerjean again has had to come to the field every session this weekend. So far, Antoine Lemieux continues to lead. He's been up front every session so far. That time by 0.2 better for Antoine Lemieux. This group here, still single file as Edward Kennedy trails the Canadian of David Zhao. They'll exit turn number 3, head through 4, and they've got a little bit of a gap now starting to form back to Luke Kenjan-Epitak.
Yep, Kenjan-Epitak, now based in Miami. He's there in the Praga chassis, one of the Zinid racing drivers. That's what does Zinid mean? And Zinid is Diniz backwards, owned by Andre Diniz, distant cousin of ex-Brazilian Formula 1 driver Pedro Diniz. He emphasised the distant part of that. I was like, yeah, 'cause he hasn't got Pedro's Parmalat money. Let's put it that way. But here's a good scrap. And you've got the Goodwood Cartways nitro chassis, the only nitro chassis here this week by David Zhao in kart number 119, the 11-year-old driver now based in Toronto. Then you've got the Energy Core chassis of Edward Kennedy behind him. Kennedy, a poor start. I was expecting more from Edward Kennedy, if I'm honest, in this race. We've still got a long way to go. We're on lap 7 out of 14 now, halfway home. In fact, we complete lap 6 out of 14.
And look at this here, Kennedy. Nice move down the inside on Zhao. He'll take over 4th. So Edward Kennedy picks up another spot after slipping backwards here in the first half of this main event. He's got to start charging back forward to make up any kind of ground if he wants a shot at a podium. They've already given up 2 seconds and some extra to the top 3. Kai Johnson safely there in 3rd. Baerjean in 2nd. Both of them lost a lot of time to the leader that time by. Antoine Lemieux, I thought Alexis Baerjean, with how quickly he carved through the field, might have had something for him, but that's not been the case at all.
No, I think so too. I thought the same as you, Xander, but no, that has not been the case. Baerjean is inching away from this, but it's inching. He needs to be striding away from Kai Johnson, not just inching away. Lap time last time around, a 106.6 for Lemieux, a 107.5. Now again, Lemieux so consistent, 106.7 once again for Lemieux. Gains another 0.3 on Baerjean and Johnson, with Kennedy 2 seconds behind Johnson. This is the best battle on circuit at the moment. It's 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Iago Lempin in the number 105 kart behind him. Lempin, the 11-year-old from Lima, Peru, on the Paralin chassis for this SLA karting team. He is right up behind Luke Kenjan-Epitak, and I'm sure that Luke's recent change in dietary requirements for his energy drink is helping Luke fire his way up the order, having a fantastic run. Luke, again, I'm not sure about Tristan is racing. Luke's got an older brother, Tristan, who also races. But maybe I think you change your class and just doing a little bit of testing this year. But Luke Konjanapatak, he's there and he is charging. He finished, now he qualified for the grand finals last year through the US National Series. Had a bit of a tough but he finished 25th in Micromax. I think he was there for the experience more than anything in Portugal. But he's certainly got the bit between his teeth here, part of the Zenit racing team, and he's driving very well. Certainly looking a little bit more aggressive than I saw him last year. And that happens all in front of him there. David Zhao was getting aggressive on the brake pedal at the back end of the kart, stepping out, and that brings Konjanapatak right into play for a battle for 5th position. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Antoine Lemieux's lead now stands at 3.5 seconds, and as we look at a good scrap, Konjanapatak! Oh dear, and now is that Konjanapatak going off, and
yeah,
did I see some smoke coming out of the back end of that kart?
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of went to the grass and kind of cooked some grass up there off the pipe.
Possibly. Okay, there we are.
But I think more than anything, he just got stuck. I mean, he went off the grass. Unless he heard the chain come off in that short 100-feet run into the grass, I mean, that was such an awkward way to DNF.
Yeah, initially I thought I saw David Zhao slowing down a little bit because Luke Konjanapatak seemed to catch up with him quite quickly and then almost run off the track because Zhao then sort of like came across and sort of like took the curb and Luke ran out of track. But maybe Luke ran out of kart. Who knows? We'll find out though and tell you later on tomorrow.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll definitely get some info on that as soon as we can here. In the meantime, with now just 5 laps to go, 9 laps completed. Antoine Lemieux leads over Kai Johnson and Alexis Baillargeon. And Johnson's gone all the way backwards now to find Edward Kennedy, reeling him in here for the final podium spot. I mentioned Kennedy was going to need to get on his horse there a few laps ago. Well, he has. He started to make up some serious ground. Edward Kennedy, the last 3 laps, has been the second quickest driver on the racetrack and matching the pace of Antoine Lemieux, who up until this point seemed unmatched. A 106.80 for Kennedy, a 106.79 for race leader Antoine Lemieux, and Kai Johnson last time was 2/10 slower at a 107 flat. So Edward Kennedy flat flying on the Nash Motorsports Energy.
Exactly, and I think it was about 3 laps ago when I said the gap between...
Definitely not out of the question here for Edward Kennedy and Kai Johnson to run back up there to Baillargeon. You could see Baillargeon up in the distance. Now, granted, Alexis Baillargeon the last lap was a good one to even the gap back out here, and we're coming down to the final few circuits. This time by, it'll be 3 laps to go. 11 laps complete, and the margin 1.4 seconds as of last time by. That's a couple tenths a lap at least.
We're not sure how long. I mean, it's a 14-lap race, this is. So we're completing lap number 11 this time around.
Oh, the 2 to go signal coming out. Sorry. Showing like it was going to be 3 to go that time on the time monitor. It's in 2 to go, actually. So 2 laps remaining.
So we're sorry if we're giving, I mean, we were given the race lengths at the start of the day, so we put the graphics up on the screen about the race lengths as per the publication. Not sure if there's anyone shortening the races and not telling us, which is never ideal. But there we go. We've got 2 laps to go, lap and a half to go.
Yeah, so 2 lap and a half remaining there. So at least now we know where we're at. Hey, Kai Johnson, didn't matter where it was. He's put on the afterburners for sure. He is ripping towards Alexis Baillargeon, and he's bringing Edward Kennedy with him. So coming down to the final lap here, this could get hairy here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Look how close Kennedy comes in through turn 15.
Try the crossover move on Kai Johnson. This is going to allow Baillargeon to escape, but can Kennedy snatch a place on the podium? It's Mooresville, North Carolina versus Toronto. In the battle versus Montreal in the battle for the final podium's place here in Minimax. Out of turn number 10 they go. Kai Johnson has had it throughout the race, and now could we get a change with just meters to go?
This would be massive here for Edward Kennedy, a big confidence boost for the kid that, again, got his first Rotax World Finals taste just a few months ago in December, or just 1 month ago in December, to come here with a podium at the next Rotax Max Challenge International event. Johnson defends. Meanwhile, Antoine Lemieux dominates here. He wins in Minimax across the line, and behind him, 2nd to Baillargeon. It's a battle for 3rd. Across the stripe, Johnson hangs on over Edward Kennedy.
Well, it came right down to the wire. Behind Edward Kennedy, Yago Yempen finishes 5th for Peru. Then it's David Zhao across the line in 6th position. Iso Tseng, the Chinese Taipei, in 7th. Matisse Brunetti, Luis Thomas Pelletier, Maddox Ruiz, and sadly, that were the only of the finishers because the top 10 rounded up by Maddox Ruiz. We lost, and we saw Luke Conjanapatak, but also Luis Cifres out of our viewpoint went out there, and there's a collection of Minimax drivers. There's Luke Conjanapatak there pointing, saying, my cart broke over there, and then he's standing next to the white race suit. That is Max McCarron saying, well, my cart broke in every race, and my cart broke over there. And then, watching at a distance, Alex Miller and Remy Guzman just saying, well, you know, what time are you on a Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah,
just up the road. It's great. It's great. It's great to see the reaction of these drivers. Yeah, Conjanapatak telling the story. Max McCarron was probably thinking, well, I'm, you know, I know you did really well, but I didn't even get to see a checkered flag. What does a checkered flag look like? I didn't see one today.
Yeah, cool to see the kids interacting there and at least talking about lines on through and, again, racing with their hands, as you can see with all the different motions throughout. They've got a lot of pickup here, to say the least. The lights are on at Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex here. 2 main events still to come your way, Micromax and DD2, before we shut the broadcast off and re-rack for another full day of racing tomorrow. Stick with us, folks. 2 more mains right after this.
Sharp end without having to, battle his way through the midfield, the tail end of the pack. But they appear to be in an order. If it's the correct order, then Rusty Ferguson, the race director, will probably say, okay, go. So we'll find out now. It is Rivera on the left-hand side of your screen, Pizzoni on the right-hand side. Pizzoni saying, no, slow down, slow down. And Julian going, okay, well, we've got 9 drivers. Let's
There we go. Yeah, nice and early there on the outside for Pizzoni, or no, that was the
Rivera.
outside. Yeah, Rivera on the outside, Pizzoni on the inside. Rivera nearly gets him in turn 1, and we got problems further back.
Oh, that looks like it is in the Praga car. It's either Blaze Diniz or Aidan or Cushion. Kishan, sorry, Aidan Kishan or Blaze Diniz, one of the two. Pitsonia, wow, a great start, Pitsonia. Piemonte up into P2, Matcher is third. Julian Rivera, what a time to make a bad getaway, and in fact, he made a really good start off the line. He was side by side with him, but then coming through turn 2, Antonio Jr. just sort of like went, well, I'm on the inside, and you're on the outside, and just eased him wide, a little bit wide, and then Rivera had no choice but to back out. The net result is that Pitsonia comes to the teardrop, comes out of the teardrop on lap number 1, a long way in front.
Yeah, a long way out front indeed here. He's at least a second, if not a second and a half, back to Piemonte there in second. And Julian Rivera is trapped behind Maxwell Macha. We'll see if he can work his way back forward, but your outside pole man, Julian Rivera, back to fourth as Pizzonia leads through 20. Here comes the field on through. 1 lap complete, 2 laps complete really on our monitors. We got 1 lap shortened for the main events here today due to the extra qualifying session for Senior Max. There's Rivera through for third. So now, with just 12 laps to go, can Julian Rivera work his way back to the lead? The margin, 2.5 seconds at the end of the opening lap.
That's a big ask, especially because all day Antonio Pizzoglia Jr. has looked very, very controlled. He's not been overly aggressive. He's not been making mistakes. He's looked, extremely, extremely composed inside the kart. Now, Rivera, well, I mean, the good news is the 20 corners. That's 20 opportunities to make time. However, it's also 20 opportunities to lose time if you missed your apex. So it swings and roundabouts. Rivera, well, firstly, Rivera's got to get past Sebastian Piemonte. We're forgetting about the 9-year-old Colombian driver from Bogota, who is sitting there on the power lane chassis with San Antonio Racing in second position. Rivera's got to deal with him first. But Julian Rivera, like I said, last year's champion, missed out on the chance to represent Ecuador in the grand finals because he broke his arm. He injured his arm 2 weeks before. Here he goes to the inside, up the inside into turn number 1. New man in P2, Julian Rivera. And the gap, well, at the start of this lap, Pizzoglia Jr. led by 1.7 seconds. So it was over 2 seconds, Xander. Now it's 1.7. I don't think we can't really close the book on this one just yet. Very early stages. And a quick look back there, we're looking at some of the tail enders, the likes of Matisse Lacroix, Aidan Kishan and Blaze Dennis. They've been lapping in 1 minute 12s all day. Let's see if anything can get in the 1 minute 11s before the final is over. Cooler overhead temperatures, that might help the engine just get a little bit cleaner as we see what, not with the help of a slipstream or a draft. That is, and look at this, he is catching Antonio Jr. hand over fist. But as a commentator far greater than I once said, catching is one thing, passing quite another. But in this mood, it's going to be tough for Antonio Jr. to resist the advances of Julian Rivera as he heads around the teardrop on lap number 4. This is going to be a battle to the end because I think that if Rivera goes past him, Pizzoglia has shown all day that he can stay with Rivera and beat him if necessary.
Yeah, hopefully he can learn from him here if Rivera does get around him. Obviously, it's a short main event and only 14 laps here, but there's still a lot of time left to go. Wow. 5 down now, and oh man, down to turn number 2. He's already there. Turn 3, Pizzoglia Jr. knows that he goes a little more narrow going into the corner. He can feel the heat coming on the back of his neck. Julian Rivera has arrived as they exit turn 5.
He has announced his intentions. Now, the next time that they cross the start finish line, look at the extra speed they get when they come into turn number 1. It almost looks as though Pizzoglia selects reverse. So the gearing on Rivera's kart is obviously very different. It's a great, ladies and gentlemen, a great example of different setups, different thought process is behind the setup of these karts. Now, Pizzoglia Jr. gets a good run off the teardrop, looks over his shoulder. Here comes Rivera. They go through turn number 16. And Rivera to the inside, and Pizzoglia Jr. He clatters the curb. Antonio was trying to cut over the crossover and clattered the curb. Watch the difference now, not at the start of this straight, but at the end of the main straight. It's like, oh, and there's a chain guard that's come off Pizzoglia Jr.'s kart. Oh dear, a chain guard off Antonio Pizzoglia Jr.'s kart. That will be curtains for Pizzoglia Jr., you saw it just fly off the kart going through turn 20. And, oh dearie me. And can't carry on without the chain guard over the kart, sadly. You're trying to see the camera, trying to, it's best to close, to get a close-up shot there, but it came off as plain as day.
Yeah, you can definitely see there. No chain guard on the number 15 Antonio Pizzoglia Jr. machine. So hate to see it for the youngster here. He was just starting to try and learn a little bit. Like you said, the top end speed definitely in favor of Julian Rivera, which is what we've seen today be the deciding factor in a lot of these cadet races. Mini and Micromax opting for kind of a longer range or a shorter gear for a longer range. If the driver can carry the speed through the slow sections, pays huge dividends here down the front stretch as the cross flags come out halfway in, halfway home. But as you mentioned, the curtain's coming if indeed the rules stand as they normally do. Chain guard coming off for Antonio Pizzonia Jr. will put him to the tail end of the field at a DQ off of losing equipment. So this is, again, just sad to see as he's done such a great job. However, he has no idea. He is still digging forward, and no matter what, a provisional result is a provisional result, and a provisional checkered flag is a huge confidence boost. And seeing Julian Rivera hunt him down from such a big gap, now starting to learn from him, picking up a little speed. That time by, he only gave up a tenth. This time, he's closing back in. Julian Rivera may technically have a safe win in hand here with a big gap back to Sebastian Piemonte for what would be second, but Antonio Pizzonia Jr. is going to make this one exciting as we come to see this time 6 laps to go.
So you have to remind me, I mean, obviously in European racing, if a chain guard comes off during the race, the driver gets the meatball flag. The black flag with the orange dot in the middle of it to signal you have to come into the pits. Is that not? Yeah. So will Pizzonia Jr. not get the flag to leave the circuit because he's got no chain guard on? I'm not quite sure what the ruling is, or will they let him run to the end as he looks to the inside there? And of course Pizzonia Jr. doesn't know that he hasn't got a chain guard on. That he's going to be, if he comes in at the end of it and he fails post-race tech, isn't that an exclusion? Or if he comes in for a mechanical flag, it's not an exclusion, it's just a retirement.
That's correct, yeah, and that's again if the series officials can catch it right on the racetrack. Who knows if they got a good eye shot of what happened there with the chain guard coming off as well. Obviously, we've got it. We've got the best view in the house. We've got the camera angles from all around the racetrack. So assuming that's the case, and again, I'm sure that the officials here for the RMC Trophy are wanting to, make sure that if indeed he needs to be pulled off the racetrack, that they do it in a way that it doesn't hurt Julian Rivera any more than it already might. Now in the case here, he's giving him a bit of a toe, so that does help Rivera, but yeah, like you said, so that would be the difference, is that if the officials don't catch it, it's not just a 0 points tail end of wherever you pulled off, it's a full-on exclusion. In
the lead, so when Pizzonia Jr. passed him, Rivera had a good eye view of the back of Pizzonia's car. Now maybe he's seen that, there's no chain guard there, so he doesn't realise they're going to carry on racing. Now it's Rivera's turn to look over the shoulder. Behind these two, Piemonte runs in third, 2 seconds behind them. The more they battle those under, the closer that Colombia's Sebastian Piemonte is going to get. Maxwell Macha runs in 4th place. Dominic Vera, a very, very successful 5th, followed by Matisse Lacroix, Melville Dos Santos, Aidan Kishan, and Blaise Diniz. I have to say that the tail enders, their pace has slowed a little bit. Maybe as the day's gone. Oh, here we go. Game on again for the race lead.
Yeah, Pizzonia Jr. back through to the lead. Well, as the officials continue to keep an eye on the field so far, Pizzonia Jr. working his way out of turns 10 and 11. They'll make their way through the field. And this time by here, it'll be just 3 laps remaining here. We've got 10 laps complete out of the 14-lap main. Pizzonia Jr. versus Julian Rivera. Over through turn number 17, 18. They'll go to turn number 19 here. This time by the start-finish line. Antonio Pizzonia Jr. over Julian Rivera to the final corner. Across the line. This time by 3 to go. Here we go, side by side again. Rivera back down the inside of Antonio Pizzonia Jr. to turn number 1, Henry.
It's still game on over the front. What happens afterwards, happens afterwards. What happens now is what matters. It is Rivera against Pizzonia. Up the inside, there goes Antonio Jr. That I've lost count of them how many times they have swapped lead. This is a fantastic battle between our youngest drivers. It's the best battle that we're on here, but it's neck and neck, and that's all that matters. And behind them, Piemonte is just 2 seconds back, and Pizzonia Jr., we have got...
This time by, it should be the double sticks, or should have been, I believe. I think that was supposed to be 2 to go.
Now they've got the
there it is. Yeah, he was doing the blue flag.
It's the blue flag for Blaise Diniz. So we've got the blue flag for Blaise Diniz, who hasn't seen it just yet. Hold your breath, Pizzoni Jr. Rivera, they're going to catch him through the flip-flop section. This is single file. What can Rivera do? Well, he looks to the inside, and look at well, it is, so it gets out of the way, but look at Piemonte now closing in.
Yeah, Piemonte's going to close. Hopefully he gets him in a good spot, but I think he's also going to get him in a left-right S chicane. So maybe Piemonte, he's going to get through much better. He's going to get through much better than the 2 leaders did. So Sebastian Piemonte is now going to play spoiler in what has been a 2-car dogfight all the way through. Piemonte's put some great laps together the last few laps. He was quicker than the leaders the last couple times around. This time by, it'll be the white flag in the youngest class on the RMC class structure, 7 to 10 years old. The Micromax drivers have put on a great show all day long. Antonio Pizzonia Jr., Julian Rivera, and at the end of your frame coming into it is Sebastian Piemonte. Pizzonia goes to block. Rivera outside, looking low. Turn 2, not enough. Over through to turn number 3, Henry.
Out of the second, switchback hairpin now. Rivera will look up the inside of the turn 4. No, he can't. Pizzonia Jr. checks the inside line. They go through the flip-flop section. Will Rivera dive up the inside now? No, he can't. The next opportunity is turn number 10, but Pizzonia Jr. has that gap of 2 or 3 kart lengths. It's going to come down to teardrop, or then the final couple of corners. We could see a drag race to the line. Anyone's guess. Pizzonia Jr. leads, and he's got enough of a gap. No, Rivera cannot make the move to the inside. Now he's got a good exit up the teardrop, though, does Rivera. Up the straight. We've seen Julian Rivera pass Pizzonia Jr. into this corner before. Oh! My word!
He gets on the rear bumper, and around goes Pizzonia. He's going to frantically scramble to try and get that cart back on the racetrack. And Julian Rivera, in what has been a topsy-turvy, crazy micro main event, crosses the line for the provisional win. Second to Sebastian Piemonte. Oh, my goodness, Henry. Would you want to be in the tech room right now?
It was getting closer and closer and closer, and finally it got too close. Look at the body language of Antonio Pizzonia Jr. there, looking down. The gloves are going to get launched into the seat, I'm very certain. What a way to end it. He's gesticulating there. What a way. What a way. But, well, on the track. On the track, we talk about what's on the track. People that get on a different pay grade to us get to deal with what goes on off the track. But on track, Julian Rivera takes a win after what was a fantastic race up until about 2 corners to go. Rivera wins. Piemonte second. Third, and to complete the podium on track, was Maxwell Matcher. Fourth across the line was Dominic Vera. Let's not forget, we're looking at Antonio Pizzonia Jr., and again, a year on from his debut in karting, he is absolutely disconsolate, desolate out there. He's got the hallmarks of a driver that thought he was about to tuck into a nice steak dinner and has just realised he's taken a bite out of his own elbow. But you can't, for the desolation that you're seeing on screen, look at Dominic Vera finishing 4th on the road, his first major kart race. He's the youngest driver here. He was the winner of the cadet, or the young part of the DM kart competition. This is a prize drive for him at 7 years old, and again, we don't want to know what might happen after the race, but he could end up on the podium. You never know. In his very first race, he finished 4th on the road. Matisse Lacroix has finished 5th on the road. Melville Dos Santos is 6th. Aidan Kishan 7th. A lap down, Blaise Diniz in 8th, and Antonio Pizzonia Jr. Of course, when you have drivers that are so evenly matched, Xander, contact of the last lap, you just never know what might happen. It's not inevitable, but it can, and it has, and it does happen, and I'm sure it'll happen again. But what a way there. Doesn't mean anything to Antonio Pizzonia Jr. Let's just say that the Micromax final had more than its fair share of drama and excitement. Let's remind you, at the start of the race, halfway through, Antonio Pizzoni Jr. lost a chain guard. We saw that happen clear as day. Now, the ruling on what occurs when a chain guard comes off, that is up to the officials here at the Winter Trophy to establish. I know what goes on in lots of other karting events around the world, but it's its own event. We'll see what happens there. Then, of course, the Rivera, clear as day on the cameras, but of course the officials here haven't got the hindsight of looking at our footage here. But there was obviously contact between Pizzoni Jr. and Rivera that going into with turn number 17. But again, the officials aren't looking at the same cameras that you're watching back home. They're looking. They've only got one set of eyes, and they can see what they can see. What happens there afterwards? It does mean that across the line, last year's reigning and defending Micromax Winter Series champion Julian Rivera wins on the road. From Sebastian Piemonte, Maximo Matcha, Dominic Vieira. Once again, the international nature of this event really comes through. You've got Colombia on the podium. So you got on the track, you've got Rivera, Quito, Ecuador, P1. Then you've got Piemonte, that is Bogota, Colombia, P2. Maximo Matcha, Fort Myers, Florida, P3, and Dominic Vieira from Chia in Colombia, P4. Great way to end the day. And of course, they can do all again tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
I know,
that was a perfect recap. I didn't have anything to add. I mean, yes, just crazy way to end the Micromax day, and it's unfortunate that it does end kind of mired with that black cloud of controversy and wildness, because the kids did a great job, really staying clean all the way through the day. I mean, normally with one more race to go, I wouldn't say to jinx it of no one getting hurt, no red flags rolling or anything like that. But in this case, with Ford,
sort nose to tail, a little bit aggressive in heat number 2, a little bit aggressive in heat number 3 there. The one thing I think we can say with absolute certainty is that there was no deliberate contact. It's a race. It happened. Obviously,
they were both going.
They were both going for it. One was defending, one was attacking. It does happen. Now, what blame gets apportioned, what if any penalties are applied, that is not for us to decide. And that's why the officials here, we have a big officials team here, both from the series and obviously on track and behind the scenes. But, that's when, we'll see who emerges on the top step of the podium after all is said and done. Let's do the last race of the day. We haven't saved the biggest grid till last. We've saved the fastest karts till last. It's going to be Gianluca Savaglio on the inside of row number 1. Matthew Taskinen on the outside of row number 1. Colin Livingston starts on the inside of row number 2 alongside Jonathan Markson. And Manuel Ochoa in the black race suit starting in the back. But he has one race fewer worth of tyre wear on those tyres. He didn't race in heat number 2, so he has watched his progress in the early stages. But can anyone beat Gianluca Savaglio? He crawls to the line. Now he guns it. Off we go. Taskinen round the outside, and Matthew Taskinen gets the whole shot into turn number 1. Now it's game on. We thought to ourselves, we can have a nice sedate end to the day because the DD2 races have been somewhat professional. Wrong answer. Taskinen leads. Savaglio climbing and crawling all over the back of him like a cheap suit as Markussen moves up into 3rd position, with Ochoa already up into 4th place and closing on fresher tyres. Livingston back to 5th. But we've got our top 3 in DD2, Xander, in the same frame.
They are super close here. Look at Savaglio. Sends it on the inside in turn 15. He gets back by on Taskinen. Taskinen could not answer into 16 here. He's got to hang on. He doesn't have as much grip early on as Savaglio does. What a great turnaround for Jonathan Markson. And remember, he had a DNF at the end, so he doesn't have just a couple laps less than his DD2 compatriots here at the front of the field. So the Canadian, Gianluca Savaglio, leads at the end of lap number 1 over Matthew Taskinen and Jonathan Markson.
What Jonathan Markson does have is bucket loads of true Aussie grit. He's had his Vegemite sandwich, and he is heading towards the front on that Praga kart. What can Taskinen do? Well, in the first 2 races, Savaglio just sort of waltzed away at the front. I wondered if Matthew Taskinen was saving something, and the answer is I believe he might have been, because he's certainly got the pressure. He's sort of turning that screw ever so slightly. trying to keep Savalio under the proverbial karting thumb, as it were.
And again, like you mentioned earlier back in their second heat race, Savaglio has to worry about fatigue. I mean, these are long sessions. He's running 2 classes in one of the busiest race days I have seen in a long time.
Oh, yes.
2 full practices, qualifying, 2 full heat races, long heat races at that, the length of pre-finals at a lot of other series, and then, of course, these 20-minute main events. That is a beatdown here on a racetrack that has been known to be physical through the paddock. So Gianluca Savaglio barely hanging on as Taskinen slides that CRG wide in turn 1. He was almost close enough to dive bomb him in turn number 2.
Even though the drivers weren't necessarily thrilled with the fixed gear ratio they were given for this circuit, they say it doesn't really suit that. You know, the karts will be bogging down a little bit coming out of the corners. They're not going to be as responsive or as spectacular as they could be. Even with that gear ratio, they are still pushing 130 kilometers an hour at the end of that turn 1 straight there, and that, at the end of the main straight going into turn number 1, 130 kilometers an hour. Matthew Taskinen thought about, oh, should I stick my nose at the inside of Gianluca Savaglio going into this flat-out right-hander, flat-out left-hand at the end of turn number 1, where the barriers are about 6 millimeters away from the edge of the circuit? Yeah, why not? Let's go for it. These drivers are the absolute best at what they do, and they're proving it now. Taskinen chasing Savaglio. Markussen waiting. John O'Markussen thinking, in the last race, the top 2 were battling away, and then it all kicked off 2 corners to go. So if I just sit here in 3rd place, who knows what might come my way? This is Ontario, Toronto, Ontario versus Edmonton, Alberta. Now, I'm not quite sure what the state versus state Canadian rivalry is. It's probably the politest, most apologetic rivalry in the world, but this is Ontario versus Alberta at the front, and Sydney, Australia in 3rd position.
Well, so with just a few laps in here, knowing that it's a 19-lap main and knowing that so far Matthew Taskinen has held on to Gianluca Savaglio, do you wait at this point, Henry? You've watched this guy drive off into the distance in every single session today, but the track is different. I mean, the sun is completely down. We've got the lights on here at Piquet Race Park. We're running later into the day than ever projected at 6 p.m. local time here on the East Coast. I mean, this is conditions no one had to be prepared for. So if you're Matthew Taskinen, do you try to push for 1 more percent and pass him right now,
yes,
or do you learn?
I would go for it now, because you've watched, I mean, unless, of course, we don't know what Matthew Taskinen's been keeping in the bank, so to speak, all day. But from what we've seen on the circuit, if Taskinen gets even the merest sniff of an opportunity, he's got to go for it, because throughout the day, Savaglio has got further and further away. When Savaglio gets in his stride, he can clear off. At the moment, Gianluca Savaglio isn't in his stride because Taskinen is within lunge range. Because these karts have got front brakes, you can brake so much later, so you can, where in the normal sort of the senior class, the masters class, the juniors think, oh, he's not close enough to make a lunge. In DD2, they are close enough. Now you can see Gianluca on a good lap here, trying to stretch away. So Taskinen, he's got to roll his sleeves up and send one in from potentially a bit further back than he would normally like to. But if he wants to win, that's what he's got to do. Because as we complete lap number 5, Gianluca Savaglio has just done a lap of 102.8, and Taskinen can only do a 102.9.
And a 102.99 at that, basically 2/10 off the pace of Gianluca Savaglio. So Savaglio continuing to lead over Taskinen. That gap slowly increasing here. What we were hoping to maybe be kind of an upset turnaround for Matthew Taskinen in the CRG camp in the 40-plus hour ride here south. They had on the RV and the bus with the trailer on the CRG cavalry led by Colin Livington back in that 5th position. His leading man in Matthew Taskinen and DD2 Max, unfortunately, right now is slowly losing ground to the leader, Gianluca Savaglio. Still a long way to go. He's got to make it through the last final half of this race. We're still yet to reach the halfway marker. This time by 7 down, 12 to go. DD2 Max, the final main event of the afternoon and really evening now here at Piquet Race Park, Henry.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, This ultra new, brand new facility has got some very, very powerful floodlights, which are getting a really good workout here as they illuminate the battle on the circuit. Gianluca Savaglio in that white, pink and purple graphics kit on the Racing Edge Motorsport. Underneath it there is the orange, bright luminous orange chassis tubing of the Esprit chassis being chased by that CRG driven by Matthew Taskinen. Matthew Taskinen, 22 years old, finished, well, actually, they finished 2 places apart in the grand finals, different classes. Taskinen 43rd, Savaglio 44th last year. Markussen was 50th in DD2, but was a top 10 runner throughout most of the week in Portugal. So none of all these 3 drivers can rightfully say we're amongst the best in the world in this class, as Savaglio has got the best finish overall, finished 5th in Bahrain in 2021. Obviously he wants to go back there, he likes his DD2 malarkey. But Manuel Ochoa, you could see at the top of your frame there coming through turn number 2. He is again, the youngest driver here, only 15 years old, and the second time he's been out in a DD2. Wasn't really entered in DD2, hadn't prepared for it, only did about 2 practice sessions. So he is doing a great job just learning the class, learning the kart as best he can as we watch our 2 leaders.
Yeah, talk about learning. How about a shout out to 3rd place here, Jonathan Markussen, right? Learning a brand new kart he built overnight Wednesday himself here, and the Aussie is really holding his own right now. I mean, he's not far off these 2 in front. You can see he's basically fits into frame, and at points has been a little bit quicker than the 2 of them. In fact, he's got the 2nd quickest lap, quicker by 200ths over Taskinen. So Jonathan Markussen actually really now this time he's going to make a big dent in Taskinen. Across the line for 8 laps complete. Where do the lap times sit? It's a 102.86 for Savaglio, a 103.25 for Taskinen, gives up 4 tenths, and 3 tenths better than Taskinen, and only 1 tenth off the leader. Jonathan Markussen is closing in for 2nd.
Halfway home, and we say that, I'm sure that Mr. Markussen, Jono's dad, would probably say, well, I might have had a little bit of a hand in building that kart as well. So we're not going to give Jonathan all the credit, but certainly it's a team effort. Lad and Dad giving it a team effort there. Mr. Markussen, signalling that, yes, he may have put 1 or 2 components on that wagon. Jonathan has spent some of yesterday trying to remove those components. He had a bit of an off yesterday, but he is now coming on strong. The battle's on for 2nd. I think you were saying, Alexander, should Matthew Taskinen have made a move if he could have earlier on? Yes. Now, Matthew has to turn his focus from attack to defence because I can hear underneath the crash helmet of Jonathan Markussen going, Aussie, 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 oi, 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 as he heads towards P2.
Yeah, he is only a car length back here. Jonathan Markussen, that time by, was the quickest driver overall. Here he goes down the inside. Jonathan Markussen to 2nd. Taskinen cannot get the over-under done, can't get clear by 4, and Jonathan Markussen on that Praga coming all the way for the land down under. He has enough time and not a big gap really to Savaglio that if Jonathan Markussen can continue pounding quick laps, he could really make this thing interesting here, Henry.
What I do like is the fact that, out on the spectator areas, the spectator area here, Jono's dad and Matthew's dad are watching this race side by side. They're probably thinking to themselves, well, boys, you're old enough and ugly enough to battle amongst yourselves. And
yeah, probably there. Hey, you boys have some fun. We've done all the work to get you here and to get your karts going almost all day long. And then you look as well, at the fact, of course, he ends heat number 2 with a DNF as he nearly drops the rear end off the go-kart coming out of turn number 20 that time. Where's the lap times? A 103.0, a 102.67. Are you kidding me? Jonathan Markussen, nearly 4 tenths better than the race leader. It's down to 9 tenths. Forget a 10.5 per lap. Jonathan Markussen, just keep doing what you're doing, mate. And you are going to get there here with just now coming to see 5 to go at the line. 6 to go at the line.
He was absolutely abusing those curves like you know what coming through there. He's thinking, well, I hope he's got the chassis protectors on there because, to heck with it. I am going to launch this Praga kart over those curves. It's working, however. Instead of crying enough, that Praga wants more.
Yeah, he is continuing to give it some here. So Canada versus Australia coming down to it. Matthew Taskinen will not be a factor. Manuel Ochoa continues to hold the lead. Colin Livington getting the blue flag as he's got his teammate down in third, and the fastest two in DD2 Max bearing down. There he goes there into turn number 3 while the leaders go to turn 2. What's our lap time update now, Henry?
Fair play to Gianluca Savaglio. He responds with a 102.7. On lap number 12, Gianluca Savaglio sets a personal fastest lap of the race, and Jonathan Markison sets the fastest lap of the race, 102.6. It's now 3/4 of a second. Well, Savaglio is having to dig very, very deep indeed here. Markison, though, has the advantage. He's got the bit between his teeth, and he's closing in. Savaglio has to start now getting into his reserves of energy. Colin Livingston, great job, Colin Livingston, getting out of the way there. I think he might just be having a moment to catch himself and breathe, the 49-year-old Edmonton-based driver. But he does a good job. No one got distracted. Markison, though, he is running out of time. He's got to make a move this time around, and Savaglio's responding beautifully, Xander.
Yeah, great lap. What a burner from Gianluca Savaglio, 102.67. He pulls the gap back out by half a tenth there in the final sector as Markison faded a little bit. He's consistent at those 102.7s. Markison needs to find more. Savaglio, I don't know if he looked back or got a signal from the fence saying, hey, pick it up.
He would have done. The Bucks down by Jonathan Markison. Savaglio, though, looks like he's withstanding the pressure. 2 to go. 40 more agonizing corners. Goodness knows how many shifts up and down this 2-speed DD2 engine, and we're closing in. Markison a 102.9. Savaglio responds brilliantly at 102. Oh my word! Savaglio clobbered the curb there. You could see the sparks flying. It's like going back to the 1980s, the turbo era of Formula 1 with the skid plates.
Yeah, watch it here too. If they hit the curbs over here in this section, there
brilliant.
It is. A couple sparks coming down the hill.
Tim Eno, the official photographer, stays to the start-finish line. If we go long tomorrow in the evenings, we need to get some photos of that. Is brilliant there. Sparks flying. And really, well, this has been you thought we were worrying a little bit, Xander, would this race be a good way to finish with just 5 karts? Oh, how wrong we were. It's been an excellent way to round out the day. Savaglio and Markison. Markison's got to put it all on the line. 1 to go, Xander.
How much do you have left in the tank, Henry? How much do these guys have left in it? At Taskinen just off the side, and the driver from Canada on the Chinese Taipei, Soon and CRG, is out on the final lap. So Taskinen's gone. Back up front, Savaglio has withstood the pressure from Taskinen and from Markison and from everyone in the DD2 field. He'll round turn 18, turn 19 for the final time today. Greg Campos, our head flagman, will bring the double checkers out, and it is a win in the main event for Gianluca Savaglio.
What a way to round out the opening round of the 2023 Rotax Winter Trophy here at Piquet Raceway Park. Jonathan Markison comes up just a little bit short. What Gianluca Savaglio, I'm interested. So Manuel Ochoa finishes on the podium, and we're going to get Kyle Livingston finishing in 4th place. I want to see if we can get a shot now of Gianluca Savaglio and Jonathan Markison on the slowing down lap, because I think that they'll give each other a smile, a wry grin. Here is your winner, Gianluca Savaglio, comes out of turn number 10. Markison is back right off. Where's Jonathan? He's cruising home as well there. Oh, and there's the smoke coming out of the, brilliant shot there, smoke coming out of the exhaust, that DD2. But Xander, the good news is, it's only halfway through the event. We do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah, what an amazing day of action here for the event as we are live in the booth and beginning to wrap things up for the RMC Winter Trophy. Podium ceremonies, of course, will follow here now for the main events from today. All 6 divisions in a day that has gone from the morning through the afternoon into the night and under the lights at the Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex here, Henry. What an amazing day of action it has been. A good race to finish it off in DD2 Max. And, man, what more can we say to conclude today's action?
Well, we can say firstly to the paddock here, the podium celebrations for today will take place tomorrow. So we haven't got podiums due tonight just because it's been a very, very long day indeed. What we can say is several things. Number one, well done to the circuit staff here at Piquet Raceway Park. It's been an incredibly demanding day. They have, because you have, well, team here at Piquet, you have just completed your first race day, and it's gone really well. And the racing has been spectacular. So the team here, great job. The drivers, fantastic. Yes, this circuit is a real physical, tough test. Perhaps one of the most physically demanding, both on the drivers and the equipment that we've got here in the United States. Are the drivers rolling a bit about with too bumpy? Of course they are. That's what drivers do. But to be a champion, you want to win on every type of track. From the fast-flowing tracks, the tight, twisty tracks, from the ultra-smooth tracks to the bumpy tracks. That is what makes a champion, and that is why variety is the spice of life, Sandra.
Well, I mean, I don't know, again, if I could back up that act at all, Henry. This is a reason why you're a professional and the voice of Rotax karting. But like you said, no doubt, huge kudos to the Piquet Race Park and Entertainment crew. I mean, these guys have been here long nights through the day. They've got a heavy schedule coming ahead here in the busy North American winter, of course, with events coming in weeks, with a big event tomorrow before we finish out the RMC Winter Trophy's opening weekend. And again, when you talk about the highlights from today, first of all, amazing battles. We've figured out this track does race really well, all things considered.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, does it race so good. Secondly, no ambulance visits, no rolling of the bus at all. We had, of course, a couple red flags for some incidents in qualifying, and then some heavier incidents. No red flags through the races, funny enough, really more so than the practice and qualifying sessions. And they were for track-related issues, more so. The crash was wild. The barriers did its job. It kept it, and that was, of course, a big concern for many coming into this event, is the minimal amounts of runoff for how much track we've stuffed into this tight space here at Piquet Race Park. And still, super safe. The barriers did their job. We highlighted a lot of them throughout the day. I think that's awesome.
And of course, you know, the bigger and better these events get, the more talented the driver pool, the bigger the fields, of course, it's going to lend itself to more incidents, because instead of having 5 drivers in a race, okay, DD2's got 5, but instead of having 5 drivers in Minimax, you've got 18 drivers, 17 drivers. Of course, and instead of having 2 drivers up at the front and then 5 drivers back at the back, you've got 7 or 8 drivers at the front. That close racing, the thing that we love about karting, it's going to lend itself to incidents and accidents, a bit of controversy here and there, and surely there will be a little bit of controversy going on. We'll give you the full recap of tomorrow when the results are all made official, because of course everything that we see, everything that we tell you is provisional. The karts have to go through post-race tech to make sure they're legal, and then they've got to go through under the watchful eye of all the officials here, the race directors and stuff like that. We'll give you the final results tomorrow, because of course we're in the midst of a championship. 1 round down, 3 rounds to go. I've got to say, on behalf just of myself here, it's a thrill to be part of the Kart Chase team for this weekend. What you're doing for karting in North America is great. And again, this market, this huge market for karting, which I believe has been underserved for many years. Don't forget, USA have got a world champion in karting, Lake Speed, 1978. You've had rounds of the world, you've had the World Karting Championships held here in 1986. You've had a Rotax Grand Finals here in 2013. You've got the Las Vegas Super Nationals. You race in the car park. Only Formula One has raced in the car park of a casino on the Las Vegas Strip, and karting. And now we got to be, you've got 32 events to cover this year. It's great that you have got Kart Chaser on board with the Rotax family. It's going to open whole new eyes of the North American market to what Rotax can offer, in addition to all the other events that go on in the USA. But what a start. What a start to 2023 for the Rotax side of things. We get to do it all again tomorrow. I'm really excited. It's not that, or it's just there's bugs up here in the Sky Suites.
I don't know. Either way, our Skybox has been awesome. Thank you to the Piquet Race Park crew for being so accommodating. Thank you to the RTX crew, of course. Let's take a look here again around the beautiful Piquet Race Park and Entertainment Complex, live here as night begins to fall on this wonderful racetrack that has now just completed its first ever international level race event as its first race event as well. For those of you tuning in, again, we'll be back live first thing tomorrow morning, 10:20 a.m. Eastern, 7:20 a.m. Pacific. We will see you then. Thank you for watching round 1 of the RMC Trophy Final here live on Kart Chaser.